Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. It's Land. Yeah, but isn't this the unplugged version? I don't know. I think it's the unplugged version. All right, Paulie, let's go. That's better. Gotta go.
What's happening, everybody? What's happening? Paulie here on the Latino Slant. It's a Friday evening, and we are doing our first edition, really here on our channel, of a new show, a new stream called Trilogies and Timelines. And basically, we're going to take all our favorite IPs and talk about the existing movies. Last week, we did Furiosa with Struggle Reviews and all those great people. And we're like, we're going to keep this going. And Bad Boys is coming out, the new one. And so I'm like, let's do Bad Boys. And so every week we're going to have our buddies, our friends come on and talk about stuff that we love. And I don't know what my panel thought of the new movie. Okay, but what we're going to do is give you some light retrospective on the past ones and work our way up to the current one. But you guys know Bad Boys. Bad Boys, what you gonna do? Bad Boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Then you got the Martin Lawrence. And my Martin Lawrence. What's up, brother? Fletcher Williams in the casa. Dude, I'm so pumped to talk about these films, and we got a great group of friends tonight hanging out with us.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
Okay, so you saw it as well, correct?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, here's what we're gonna be doing in the chat, saying hello, and then we're gonna put up a poll and all that good stuff. Reggie. Oh, Reggie was on fire, man.
Hey. Okay, we'll talk about it.
Wait, who's the Spanish son, though?
Oh.
Mephisto is the Spanish son. I think Mephisto secretly wants to be Latino, so there you go. And then Sin will let you. There's so many great female characters. We'll let you pick out who you want to be. You know what? Let's just bring our panel in, our panelists, our friends, ladies first from Sin's Corner. Hola.
Hello. ¿Cómo están todos?
Woohoo! We're good.
Good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you have that Spanish son. That's you.
I do. I have a half Spanish son and daughter.
You got that Spanish son.
She literally has that Spanish son.
She literally has a Spanish.
Yeah, she literally.
Right
you feel Will Smith's pain. Okay, it's great to have you here. And guys, we're multi-streaming on a bunch of different channels. So what I want you guys to make sure to do is smash the like on all of them and subscribe to each one another. How was your Friday evening so far, my friend?
Mine? Oh, I've been working, and then I was rewatching the third movie. And
the third one
for this, yes.
Okay, great. Yes. From 2020.
Yeah,
from 2020.
it was one of the last movies we saw on the big screen.
I was looking back at the numbers. It was a huge hit.
It was a good movie.
It was a huge hit.
Yeah.
So okay, people are piling in. I love it. Let's bring in our other friends as well. Mr. Mephisto. Mephisto, what's up? Reviews?
I'm good. Is my mic okay? Not too loud? Okay.
It's good.
You live, brother? You live?
I'm good. I don't know if I want to be Latino. I want to be me.
Hey, wait, whoa. What did you just say on this channel? Fletcher, what did this guy just say on
What
this
channel
channel?
are you on?
I think he said he would love to be Latino. I'm
The
translating.
bigote for that, man. The bigote is a slap in the face, cabrón. What are you talking about? You don't know if you want to be Latino.
I want to enjoy the Latino culture.
I know,
But
we're
I
good.
want to. I always want to be true to myself, right?
Well,
I
I mean-
always want to be true to yourself. I want to
You
be
know,
true to myself.
Listen, I mean, do you feel seen in Bad Boys? And if you do, who is your character?
You know what? I'm probably the captain. That's
Oh,
I'm
Joey
wearing
Pantoliano. Yes,
Sucking on the
Lord.
Pepto.
too much. Joey Pants. What
Joey,
an actor.
Dude, Joey Pants, man.
Joey Pants is
Whoa.
legit. What a great actor. What a great
What a
character.
great character actor. Good Lord. All right, speaking of characters, just because you have character doesn't mean you are character. How you doing there, Tom? Put you center stage, buddy.
Bam.
Well, I was gonna pick the captain, but since he did, I mean,
No,
by
I
age,
have to.
would
Reggie.
that make you Marcus by age, or if not, I guess I mean Martin Lawrence is my spirit animal in this
Oh.
film. I think,
Bro.
you know.
It you know, I was thinking about this, Tom. It's like Eddie Murphy passed that baton and boomerang to Martin Lawrence, and Martin hasn't stopped. Even though he doesn't do a lot of films, when you see him in these films, he's incredible. He is a just incredible comedic actor. I don't know. That's just how I feel, bro.
I mean, when he's sitting there going like, "How old are those hot dogs? Are they brand? Did you just put them on?" He's like, "Yesterday, give me one of those motherfuckers and put all the relish on that shit."
It's a
But he had his
relish
nose up
His
against.
nose is pressed against the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had his nose, man. You know. Okay,
Mark,
great.
what the hell
This
are
is our
you doing?
panel.
A hot dog? Oh hell no! This ain't mine.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Mind your
Hey,
damn
you-
business.
Let's save the last one. Let's save the last one because there's so many good moments. People are coming on in. We got to get this poll
Yeah,
up as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So which one are we doing, Fletcher?
Do you want to do the first one first?
Okay,
And the
do the
second
first
one
one
second?
first.
Yeah.
Let me type that in. Can you do me a favor and highlight and say hello to people in the chat for me as I do that?
All right. So we got here we go. We got Penny in the house. Hola, Penny. Hope you are doing great. She is going to go see Bad Boys tomorrow. I think you will enjoy it. I think everybody did. Well, so far. Let's see.
Well, don't say anything.
Don't.
Don't say anything. We don't know.
We don't
Okay.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Who else we got?
also got Albert Rodriguez over here in the house.
Hey.
Did it come on? Sorry. Sorry, it's kind of slow here. Albert Rodriguez says, Buenas noches. I wonder if Jay has a Mexican son. Oh, maybe. Should I say? And let's say who else we got over here in the house. We got the viewer Drew.
Actually,
Hey, everyone. What's up?
isn't he Cuban, not Mexican?
Where? Which one?
Armando.
He's Mexican.
He's
Is he?
Mexican because his mother is
Is he?
Mexican.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought
Kate Del
I thought he was
Castillo,
from-
Mexico City.
I thought he was from
Yeah.
more south. I thought he was from
No,
more
it
south.
was like
Okay.
Mexico City up in part
Was
3.
it okay? Because
Yeah,
they went
yeah,
to
yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
He was
I thought he was from
Mexican.
Colombia originally, but
No.
okay,
No.
all right.
No.
Yeah.
The stuff comes from Colombia, but you know.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
But I guess I was thinking he was from way because when they go down there in the second film and they go without getting into this one too much and they go back again, like they're down farther south.
Johnny
I thought.
Tapia
Okay.
is from Cuba.
Okay, that makes
Yeah,
more
that's-
sense.
that's
Okay.
what it was, yeah.
Oh, the actor? Is that him? Is that who
No, you're talking about the
No, the other
villains?
character.
The other
Oh,
villains,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Great. People
Yeah.
are piling in. Who else do we got? Bonzo,
We got
Kilborn.
one story.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Latinos Land is just happy. A couple of viejos like him still kicking. Man,
Órale.
yeah. I guess we'll talk
Órale.
about
You know what viejo means, Tom? Or Mephisto? Just a
Lady
couple
of
of
the Night.
happy, a couple of viejos like him still kicking it.
Not
It's
Lady of the
actually
Night.
not. That would be like putas of the
Yeah.
night.
I know.
Dang.
Hey, did I say that?
Slant after dark.
I have no idea.
Viejos is old
Yeah.
So it's nice to
You
see
know
a
what?
bunch of old
That
Old
comment
farts,
that
basically.
comment gets a Mexican
Yeah.
midget, everybody. I'm just getting warmed up, everybody. People coming in, I love it. Viejos means old homies. Old homies,
Oh.
guys. Old
Oh,
guys.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be
That's
happy
what
to
I was
be
thinking,
one.
like old farts, basically.
Why
what I
is
was
Tom
thinking.
here?
I
That's my
really
boy.
don't know.
That's my
I
man.
really-
What are you talking about, Putin's cat? Don't you question who I bring on? I'm just playing. I don't know why.
He's saying
Wait.
that on my channel, and he was confused because I'm also streaming. I'm
Yeah,
sharing
you
the
need
stream
to.
as
You
well.
need to. Can you do in your chat, in your YouTube chat? Can you pin a comment saying, "Come and vote on Paulie's
Can I?
chat," because we have the poll up where let
Am I
your
able to
people know
pin?
you're multi-streaming.
Can I pin in my chat? I've never done that before.
Absolutely, you
put it
can.
in
It's
your own
your.
chat, yeah.
I mean,
it's
I
your
don't
own
know how
chat.
to. So hold on.
You
a second.
type it, then you hover over it, and you'll see the pin
Okay.
selection.
All right, I'll work on that.
Okay, all right. Are we good with some comments for now?
Yes, we're cool.
Okay, so now what I want to do, I want to encourage everyone that's coming on in to send us super chats via YouTube, but even better, PayPal. That would be wonderful. We'll be doing that the next, as long as we're streaming here. And I promised the panel. I promised that I was going to show you a video,
Oh boy.
and it's a. I want to see if you guys can. I want to see if you guys can. Is this Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, or not? You guys ready?
From Wish, maybe.
Let me put on my reading glasses. Wow!
É nada que eu tô vendo isso. Ô, rapaz, é os bad boys, velho.
Holy crap.
Mas vocês não lançaram
Right?
filme agora, rapaz?
Will
Tá na
looks a
rua.
lot like Will.
Martin
But
looks like
I-
a younger Martin, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they definitely
I was
look.
gonna say it looks like a thin Martin Lawrence, which is like stand-up Martin Lawrence.
Excuse me, Fletcher. What are they saying? Are they speaking Portuguese?
Yes, they are speaking Portuguese.
Can we figure out what they're saying? Let's,
Can you play it again?
I'm gonna play it again. I got the volume up.
They're saying something, this boy over here,
Ô, rapaz, é os bad boys, velho.
something about money and time.
Mas vocês não lançaram filme agora, rapaz? Tá na rua, velho.
What are you guys doing out here this late at night in the street?
just like a Latina mom. Well, they look really like them, so I just wanted to bring that up. Just to
Kind of looks like they're waiting for the bus.
yeah, they're at a bus stop. What's funny is that they kind of look like them, but they're also kind of dressed like them.
Yeah, with the chains.
I mean,
It's the chains.
he's dressed like they're Bad Boys characters. It's kind of wacky, kind of wacky. All right, guys. So here's what I would like to do. Why don't we go in this order too? I mean, Tom, Sin, Mephisto, Fletcher, and myself. I would love. I would love to start. Oh, let me fix it. Let me start at the Let's start at the beginning of this franchise, 1995. Bad Boys comes out, directed by Michael Bay. And really, there is no bigger movie star at the moment, Tom, than Will Smith in 1995.
Well, not quite yet. He actually he was on the rise. Believe it or not, if you look at the first two films, Martin gets top billing.
That's
I don't
right.
know how he finagled it for part two, but part one, Martin was the star.
You're right.
Will Smith was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air still.
Well, wait.
this
What
is
about
pre- this is
Independence?
pre-
What about
this is
Independence Day?
This is the year before Independence
Yeah,
Day.
Independence Day was
And 2
96.
years before Men in Black. This was the
Yeah.
first 4th of
this was
July
the
weekend
first.
he owned.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay,
because
so
I
this
saw
is
this the same damn day I saw Tommy Boy in the theater. And I walked out of this movie. This is a funny thing about Michael Bay. I walked out of this movie going, "Oh my God, that director's going places." Because I had never seen a movie like this before when I walked out of it. My jaw hit the floor. Never seen that kind of direction in editing. Fast paced. I mean, and I watched it again the other night, and it's kind of quaint by today's standards, especially, you know, in a post Bay world.
Mm.
But even that time, like, I mean, Michael Bay, just in his infancy, was like the cuts and the momentum that film has still.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's
So
ever really made one as good.
Let me ask you a question really quick. Was
Outside
this
of maybe The Rock?
Was this before or after The Rock? Before or after Con Air?
I think this was the year before The Rock.
Before.
And two or 3 years before Con Air, yeah, at least.
Let me see.
So this is the beginning of something huge.
Yeah. I mean, I had no idea who the hell Michael Bay was when I walked out of this movie. But I mean, just from the opening, you know, not 20th Century Fox, Columbia thing with the music, like the theme song. I mean, I went out and bought the soundtrack right away.
Oh, did you really?
Me too.
Like it was like I was just like, oh my God, this was it. This was like our Beverly Hills Cop. Is what I said to my cousin at the time we walked out of the movie. I'm like, holy shit. And he's like, yeah, that was great. Because he didn't really want to see this one. He wanted to see Tommy Boy. He's like, I don't want to see no movie with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And that's how I remember at the time. Because he's like, I don't want to see him in a movie. I'm like, no, trust me. The previews look good and it's got Martin in it. Like, all right. You know, but he ended up loving it afterwards. The only thing he hated was that they wrecked the one car at the end. Because he's a car guy. But that's why I think he was like engaged right away because of the car scene. Like from the first few minutes in, he was laughing and he was into the movie. And like me, like I said, it just the kinetic energy it had, Martin and him, the chemistry they had at the time, it just captured a moment in 1995 like we had never had in our lifetime as far as like that buddy cop kind of thing. Because Lethal Weapon was already kind of getting old. You know, Beverly Hills Cop 3 had come out the year before, and it kind of was like, okay, yeah, it was good, but it wasn't nearly as good as the first two. You know, some people hate it, downright hate it. So we kind of hadn't had like a new kind of thing like that. And not just that, the way it was presented to us was something different. And like I said, it is Michael Bay in his infancy, so you don't get all the Bayisms, but you see the birth of some of them here. But then that'll get us into part 2 more so. But no, this film to me is like a perfect 10 out of 10 movie. I love this movie.
Really? For you?
Plot's brilliant. It's hilarious from beginning to end. Perfectly cast. Like Joey Pants is freaking amazing in it. And Tia Leona, this was her first movie too.
I mean,
if I remember
how
right.
beautiful was Tia, man? Wow.
She was so young.
Of course, she wrecked herself.
Well, you know, let's keep it 99 to 95.
Okay.
So, Sin, what do you remember from this film?
It's been a few years since I've seen it, and I remember enjoying it, but I wasn't in love with it. It was okay. That's the main thing I remember. I remember Tia, how young she was. But yeah, I didn't. It was all right. It wasn't anything astounding to me. Maybe part of that is because I did not see the first two on the big screen.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I saw it, you know, small screen at home. That might have made a difference for me.
No, that's fine. Our boy, Mr. Mephisto. In that era, to me, Die Hard, which was maybe 8 years before, 6, 7 years before, around there, kind of set the tone for movies like this. To me, this is a time capsule film that besides these guys, very few have reproduced well. What are your thoughts?
I think when was Die Hard with a Vengeance? Was it 93?
88? Oh, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Excuse me.
With a Vengeance was 93.
Same year as
we'll find out. We'll find out.
I think it was 95 actually.
95, yeah.
Yeah, same year as this.
Kind of fits because Die Hard with a Vengeance was more of the buddy cop type rather than full on just John McClane. But I'll continue what Tom said. Bad Boys was the first movie that I saw in the theaters by myself because nobody would go and watch it with me at the time when it came out because all we heard was the song, which was catchy. It was like burning the charts at the time, but nobody came to see the movie original like the first week or so because like nobody thought that Will Smith could pull off a movie, especially like this. But I went to see it in the theater by myself, and I was blown away how good this movie was.
Yeah.
And I actually dragged my buddy to go see it again. Like, I went to see it again, and he's like, why didn't I come with you? This was so good. The dynamic between the two, setting up Will Smith as the bachelor and Marcus as the family guy, and that sort of dynamic was brilliant, was absolutely brilliant. And it worked because you can tell the chemistry off screen was on screen. And that's the magic of like perfect casting in a way. And it just continued on through the series. But the first movie set the tone, and Tom mentioned like he bought the soundtrack. I bought the soundtrack too. And I fell in love with every other song in the soundtrack. Not like take off Shy Guy from the soundtrack. The soundtrack is really, really good. And
Shy Guy was the top 40 hit too. But anyway,
Really?
Yeah. And the rest of the soundtrack was really geared towards having that feel of Miami. You wanted to feel that sort of town that is basically half Cuban, and you really felt it in that soundtrack, and it carried through the movie itself.
I was actually surprised we didn't get a Will Smith track, but a Fresh Prince song I don't think would have fit.
No.
Because he did Miami like a little bit, like a year after, something like that.
I don't think he ever did a song for any of the Bad Boys soundtracks, which is weird. But
that is weird.
No, but the Miami song he did like on his own.
Did he do one for the brand new one? Okay.
Yeah, he did one for the new one with Sean Paul.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because surprisingly, they didn't use Miami for Bad Boys 2 or anything like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Fletcher, what are your thoughts as far as this first one for you, man?
I thought it was great. I just kind of remembered it because my family, I have cousins who are huge fans of like Lethal Weapon, right? And it was like, they would play that to death. And all like my friends and all this stuff, especially all my Russian friends and stuff, it was like the #1 movie that they would play over and over and over again. And when this came out, I was like, oh, cool. It's basically Lethal Weapon, I felt. But it just felt like a hipper Lethal Weapon set in Miami. And Tia Leone, I mean, she was the it girl in that one. And it was just such a fun movie. I mean, I even talking to my wife about it today. She's like, she just remembers being so fun and so, fresh at the time. It was super hip. It was like that generation Miami Vice, I guess.
I mean, I got to tell you guys, in rewatching it yesterday, I was actually just surprised how well it held up. Yeah, I hadn't seen it in years, and like what Tom said, I'm like, man, this is a really good Michael Bay film. I think he obviously he went overboard with some of these other films, but it reminded me of a great era in action films, but just the unapologetic comedy mixed in. Who was the first to do that? Was it Eddie or was it Bruce Willis in these action films? Because it was a Schwarzenegger, unless it was a one-liner. And
it's probably more Beverly Hills Cop is kind of like this is a child of that, I would say, more than anything.
Okay.
If I had to pick one, between 48 Hours and Beverly Hills Cop were probably the first two comedy action like that.
48.
I mean, we had other kind of stuff before that, but like that's the first kind of like that. Yeah. And you had Freebie and the Bean as well before that, but that was still kind of proto.
I'll actually point out, if we were talking like a comedy action buddy cop movie, you can take 48 Hours. Another 48 Hours has a different dynamic, but if you take like Tango and Cash, you'll get that same dynamic between going back and forth and trying to like over the top joke against each other. You get that in Tango and Cash, which is
But I would probably compare, especially the last two films of this series so far have a lot more. I've been comparing it more to the Lethal Weapon series, and I think that's how people are going to react to them. Is if you were someone who liked how the Lethal Weapon series kind of moved along, and you enjoyed the last two films, you're going to really enjoy these two films. Like, it's in that kind of vein, same kind of dynamic with the whole family meets cop kind of thing, and family being important and all that kind of stuff. Lethal. That's something that carries through all the films basically. But yeah.
Really fast, if you don't want to do a super chat via YouTube, via PayPal is even better. We really appreciate it. There's the info below. We haven't really talked much about the story of 95, right? Which, we don't really have to get into the story of it, but let's talk about some of the cast. Teresa Randall, was the wife, and
sadly,
really quick at that time, she was very popular. She was working a lot in the 90s. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I did some research to find out what's going on because she was just in the last one.
Correct.
But I guess she's gotten sick, and some other rumors have been flying about what's been going on with her. Even her agent, I guess, has had a hard time getting a hold of her. And last time she was spotted publicly, she was with a walker, and I guess she had broken her leg somehow.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know exactly what's going on with her, but she was not looking the best. So I'm assuming if it had something to do with either her health or some sort of addiction or something like that. I don't know. I could not find a definitive answer on that. But notoriously, I guess in the past, she's also been somebody who's had a lot of personal issues, I guess. So I don't know if it's a health thing or what, but yeah. So unfortunately, they recast her in this film with not a horrible actress, but it's like you think you'd have found somebody who kind of evokes the same type of.
Well,
she seems like a completely different
totally
person
different
in a lot of ways. Not just that, she acts completely different.
She acts completely different. Yeah. So, but back to 95, you also had we talked about Joey Pants, but also a youngish Michael Imperioli. It was he had a couple scenes in there. He was pretty funny.
Yeah, he was JoJo.
Yeah, JoJo. Thank you. You had a couple of Italian characters in there, which I thought was interesting, or kind of like you're not very Miami type people.
What, Sanchez and Ruiz?
Except for them, but like the bellboy, Will Smith, the concierge guy,
the bellboy.
The concierge guy was hilarious. You had a lot of great characters. Even the fat Italian guy who got electrocuted. I like that. I think it made it a little even more, kind of enduring in its own time and place. Any thoughts on the cast, guys?
I mean, the first film, I thought it was just brilliant across the board. I mean, I wouldn't probably switch anybody out at all.
Even the villain was like, you never had like a French villain who's like a sadistic drug dealer. It's always like Colombian or some other character, especially like in American movies.
Always Latino,
like the French bad guy, and it was it was great. It was great. Fouché,
yeah. And this actor. He's played he's played some scummy guys in some movies, and then he played a French military guy in The Patriot. So he had a little career going. He had a run. All right, guys. Any final thoughts on 95 before we move on?
That was just too damn long for another sequel. Unfortunately, almost a decade later.
Long time, yeah.
No.
Well, there you go.
Will Smith became, after that, one of the most in-demand actors there was, as you pointed out. I mean, he was the man of the last part of the 90s for sure.
What was give us your thoughts on Bad Boys 2 from 2003?
Can't even think about this movie without thinking of that song. Because they play it 500 times in the movie.
Yep.
500.
This movie it's got its fun moments, but it's definitely so chock full of Michael Bay-isms. I was waiting for a Transformer to show up at one moment or another. It was just so over the top, and you can tell they have like 3 or 4 times the budget. It's a half hour too long. God. Yeah, the last portion of the
2 hours
film
and 26 minutes. Yeah.
That hill scene.
Yeah,
that hill scene rolling down the hill there and over the houses and stuff was just too much. It's all right. I like the dynamic between the sister and the fun stuff between him and
Gabrielle Union.
Yeah, Gabrielle Union. And I mean, the only thing I didn't like about this one, besides all the Bayisms, is this thing with Martin's character actually trying to quit. I just don't buy it. And we all knew it was never going to happen. So to me, it's kind of just like a waste of. It's like they're almost just trying to come up with something between the two of them to a point. So like,
they did it again in movie 3.
Sort of.
Let me throw this at you guys because it refers to what Tom is talking about. You had these incredible writers that worked on this film, and it popped out to me when I because I rewatched it last night and then finished it. No, I rewatched it today, and after the first hour I was like, listen, action's great and all that stuff, but it doesn't have the same magic for me as the first one.
Not the same vibe either. Yeah,
and the writers were the Wibberleys, who at that time were 2003 were hot off, I believe, National Treasure. When did National Treasure come out? They created National Treasure, the Wibberleys. They were screenwriter credits. Then guys,
2004.
Yeah.
Then guys, you had so they're hot in Hollywood at that time. You had Ron Shelton, Bull Durham, Tin Cup, fucking White Man Can't Jump, and Jerry Stahl, who created Moonlighting.
That sounds to me like there was 3 or 4 rewrites.
A lot, and you could tell. You could tell. I want to throw it at you guys because you had all these caliber award-winning screenwriters on it, but it was off. Sin, what do you remember about Bad Boys 2?
The one of the main things I remember is that, well, for me, it was way too over the top, and of all the movies, it's my least favorite. I'm not crazy about this movie.
Same.
I know my brother loves it. He thinks the scene with the rats is hilarious, and I'm like, that's not even how rats do it.
You didn't get the rats right.
Didn't get the rats right.
Get that rat right.
I wasn't crazy about this movie, really. I don't have fond memories of it. It was too much.
No, I agree with her. Like, this is still, even 4 is better than this one. Not to spoil too much, getting ahead of ourselves, but yeah.
Go ahead, Mephisto.
Yeah, Paulie, you said there were a lot of writers. It feels like a patchwork movie. If you look at it by big scene blocks, you've got the whole Zopounder scene where they chase them. They have the big like car chase, and all the cars kind of flip over, like comically flipping over, exploding, and then they are entering this like the Zopounder house, and they have that half gunfight, half like serious action gunfight, and half Martin Lawrence doing Martin Lawrence like jokey stuff, which is over the top. He's trying to woo-saw his like he is basically taking the Seinfeld's Serenity Now and inserting it into Bad Boys.
Yeah.
And it was a bit like, okay, I guess. And
I will give it
like
this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Scene blocks. That's what I mean. Like they
say
had
it again.
The scene, and they had the entering Johnny Tapia's house scene. It's large action pieces that just kept going and going and going.
Like set piece after set piece after set piece than actual plot points. And I agree with you. Like it does have one of the better comedy scenes in it, surprisingly, considering this is the least funny of all the films. And that is when Martin accidentally ingests the X. That is probably one of the funniest scenes in the whole franchise.
That's funny.
Tell the wife I am on the way.
I love it. What do you call it? Your feng shui, your fichua, your feng shui. Yes.
Wow, Wu Shao.
To me,
Whooshow.
to me, actually, the funniest scene is
That was
the
a funny
scene
bit.
with Reggie.
Reggie is a good scene
You
too.
look
Yes.
30.
Yes, I agree with you on that. And that, of course, pays off more in the sequels. And
Yeah.
thankfully, 3 and 4 have made 2 better with time. That's the beauty of it. But I'm curious what Fletcher thought about it too.
Yeah, Fletcher.
Yeah, I guess this is one of those things that I thought was really fun to watch with like my cousins. It's kind of like you have a story in there, but you're just there to watch the car scenes, things flip and crash, and then you got like Henry Rollins in it. You got some MMA fighters, and like all my cousins are like fighters, so it was like, oh, dude's there, and it's Henry Rollins. So you had I think this one, it was more like the cameos, they started getting heavy on those in this one. And there's a lot of stuff like Miami and specific to, like Latino stuff that it was like, this song. And so I think on this one, they just, like I said, it's just the kitchen sink. They just put everything in it. And it looks like they just did all the action scenes and then wrote like, okay, we got to put some story in between. What do we do? The Marcus, getting spirituality with the, and then the what was it? The psychiatrist or something, he's in the office and he's doing all his spiritual stuff. And I thought it was a good throwback in the new one to this one. But it was fun. I thought it was fun. Was it goofy? Yeah, completely goofy.
So I think we're all in the same boat here. I have a question for Tom in regards to Michael Bay, because I think by Michael Bay just burned down on his own formula by this. Did Pearl Harbor already happen at this point?
I think so. I believe so. Yeah, I think that was 2000, 2001-ish.
Because
I believe it was for the anniversary. So yeah.
So you remember when it came out? It was the biggest bomb of the year.
Yeah, actually, funnily enough, this is what's weird is I even know how much I love the first film. I never owned this movie on DVD. I never bought it until the 4K came out, because the only way you could buy Bad Boys on 4K was if you bought 1 and 2 together.
Wow.
So that's the first time I actually owned it. I mean, I watched it when it first came out and I'm just like, yep, that sucked.
Yeah.
Like I was really let down. But at that point though, I had been totally tapped out on Michael Bay, like between everything. So yeah.
I think it also kind of dates itself.
It does. Yes. The Michael Bayisms date it more than the first film. Yeah.
This one really did, in regards to 9/11, in regards to, it made another pop culture reference that, there was a couple of them, but I was just like, yeah, it just didn't work for me. So, okay. Any other final thoughts, guys, on Bad Boys 2 from 2003? Obviously, more of the same cast. You had Jordi Moya as the bad dude, Johnny Tapia. I particularly think Jordi Moya is I met him on a press junket back in the day, so I'm biased. I don't like him. He's not nice. He wasn't nice.
Oh,
he was a dick. And yeah. I remember doing a press junket for Collateral. And let me just take this off. Yeah. And let me tell you guys, I interviewed Michael Bay. I interviewed Tom Cruise. These men were supreme professionals and just so giving of their time. And then comes in the Spanish dick who wouldn't, was just, he was so bothered to be asked any questions. You know what? Toma. So jeez. I'm biased. I don't like him. Don't like Bad Boys 2, so I'm going to stop.
Okay. I don't even remember who this guy is. I forget half the people that were in the first 2 movies.
What with the rap?
He hasn't been in a lot of stuff.
I forgot Reggie went as far back as
these are stupid fucking problems to have, but they are still a problem.
Nice.
Johnny Tapia.
Let's read a couple of comments, and we'll move on to 2020's Bad Boys for Life. Sanders here. Michael Moore explosions Bay. What's your favorite Michael Bay film? That might be fun for a timeline.
Probably Bad Boys, and then
Bad Boys.
And then The
Really?
Rock is a very close second, I bet.
The Rock
Yeah.
The Rock was I love the Welcome to the Rock. All right, Sander. In essence, Die Hard with a Vengeance is Loaded Weapon 2.
Yeah, because
Furios-
Samuel Jackson. Yeah.
Furiosa is a legitimate masterpiece. I'm sorry.
Who let this guy in?
I'm sorry. Who pinned this chat? Who
on
pinned this comment?
It's a comment from my channel.
Come on, the name alone gets a laugh.
The villain of Bad Boys 1 was very effective. He had that brutality about him. Yeah, he really does that very well. Like, correct. And in the second one, there was also way too many gangs in the second one. It was like the reggae guys, the Latino guys, and you had the Russian. Ugh,
Best
annoying.
villain in Bad Boys 2 actually like dies before the end of the movie. It's Peter Stormare who plays
He's
Alexei.
great. Yeah, he's great. He's always
He's great.
He's great. Putin's cat. So this new movie will help or hurt. You know what? Let's save that one. We'll talk about that later. Let me see. The hill scene was a throwback to Police Story, but felt unnecessary. James Karras. What's up, James?
Well, not just that. Michael Bay was putting these in all of his films at this point, because wasn't one of the Transformers that had one of those like downhill battle scenes? And I know Ninja Turtles he produced had that same kind of a scene with the semi truck.
Well, I know your favorite Shang-Chi had a downhill scene.
Did it? Well, I don't think that has anything to do with Michael Bay, but yeah,
I know.
like,
Just saying.
yeah, he just had this thing with like he repeats himself at nausea in certain things, and it's like,
Okay, good. Right.
I was gonna say, if not, that's probably a good place to segue to the third film.
Michael Bay, The Rock. Yeah, and let's go to 2020. All right,
So almost 20 freaking years
Yeah,
since the
man.
last movie, and almost 30 years since the first film.
So this one is called Bad Boys for Life. Let's set the stage, Tom, before you go into your first one here. You're the first one to talk about this. This came out 2 months before the lockdown.
That too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the last bona fide hit. I think it was one of the biggest hits of that year.
It was the
It was
biggest
made-
hit of 2020, and the only thing I argue is if things hadn't got shut down, I don't know if that had been the case. Like Sonic had a chance to beat it, and chances are, if things hadn't shut down, Top Gun would have come out. But what'd you say, Mephisto?
Right.
I said Maverick would have come out.
Oh, Maverick, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Wasn't it slated for November?
It was slated for July, I think, of that year. Actually,
July,
And
okay.
They
Then
moved it, and moved it. Yeah.
Wonder Woman as well.
So let's so let me get my.
What did it make that year?
It made globally over 450 million
pretty
bucks
well.
or something like that,
Oh,
and
okay.
the budget was pretty low.
Oh. Okay.
So new
And-
directors, a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
Correct. Adil and Bilal. So you had these new two directors, and you had pretty much the same cast. So, Tom, what did you think about Bad Boys for Life in 2020?
I actually enjoy this film quite a bit. I was more than surprised by it because I expected to hate it. I went into this movie going, okay, the last one sucked. Michael Bay is not even directing for what that's worth, I guess, one way or the other. And within about 10, 15 minutes of the movie, I was like hooked. And then it's a thrill ride. It was one of the, at that time when it came out, you got to remember, we're still in this era of 2.5, 3 hour films already. To have a nice, quick 2 hour film like that was really a refreshing kind of change of pace, and it had a good story to it. Plus, at the time it came out, it wasn't replacing the male characters with a female lead. You know, we weren't finding out that Will Smith has some illegitimate daughter, you know, that's going to take over for him or something like that. You know, I mean, it has a very interesting twist in the film. I guess if you haven't seen it already, spoilers, we find out that, you know, Will Smith sired a son with a very bad woman.
Una bruja.
you had a baby with a
Maybe with a
witch.
witch.
Played by the great Mexican actress Kate del
Kate
Castillo, who you believe every word she says, and you're scared to death for. I was scared to death.
Yeah,
for
she's
her.
a
was
freaky
wicked
witch.
in
Yes.
there, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys ever watch her in La Reina del Sur?
Yes, a little bit.
She's good.
Okay, so go on, Tom.
But yeah, no, this was where I mean, shit got real, especially with the way things are going down, and it gets really personal. And this is really where the series starts to feel like a Lethal Weapon, not replacement, but what's the word I'm looking for? Successor. And it really does. I think I felt like, oh my gosh, they actually hit it home. Like the end of the movie feels like, okay, we got a nice encapsulated story. It has a little bit of a button in case we want to do another one. And for a while there, it didn't look like we weren't going to get another one. Bad Boys 4 got canceled for a while there because of the whole BLM stuff that was going on at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't think if it wasn't for the slap that this movie might have happened. But we can get it the next one. Anyway. We'll get into that when we get there.
What else did you like about the
Bad Boys
film?
for Life, I love the movie. Reggie is great in it. So that like all the stuff that's in this movie, the family dynamic really helps pay off stuff for part 2. Martin, it makes more sense that he's on the verge of retiring and not like this whole I'm sick of this partnership thing. Because that's one thing I hated about part 2 is like, these guys have been together, they're friends, they're I just didn't buy that Martin was going to leave him, right? For any way, shape, or form reason. It just didn't make any sense to me. Unless he's going to retire, which is kind of what we're setting up here with this movie, considering his age. So, like, to me, it also started bringing the whole thing to the table of Mike Lowry being the bulletproof cop, not being so bulletproof, which, again, plays so well into this next film. And that's the thing is, you have the first film, you have the second film, which is really kind of the one of the bunch, and then you have this film, which unfortunately you have to watch the second film to get to this film, but this film brings it all back around to where, like I said, it helps me appreciate the second film a little bit more, and I'm glad that we have this setting up the next film, because this is my second favorite of the franchise. So yeah.
Oh really?
Well, hold on, guys.
I haven't seen it, and that's pending seeing the fourth one again. Maybe we'll see, but we'll get into that.
Okay, Sin of Sin's Corner. What are your thoughts on Bad Boys for Life?
Okay, so I rewatched this today in preparation for the discussion. I didn't have time to rewatch 1 and 2. So after rewatching it, it confirms to me this remains my favorite of all of them. I like this the best. What happened to the captain or the chief or whatever, that really cemented this in a level of seriousness that didn't feel present in the other movies. And the comedy was there, but it wasn't quite as goofy as I remember the comedy in the second one and even in the fourth one. So like the comedy just made more sense. I like the whole story arc of the son. I like that Kate del Castillo was in there because, I recognize her. She's a Mexican actress, whatever. And she was really good in there. I had completely forgotten that the ammo team was in the third movie, because I saw the fourth movie. I completely forgot they were in there. But so it was kind of cool to be reminded, oh yeah. And of course, I like the whole story arc of Reggie, from how his character evolves with the family, even though he has such tiny parts. They're some of the funniest to me.
I agree. Yeah, Reggie's great.
Poor Reggie.
What did you think of the whole Mexican? Really, it's really integral because it hits Will Smith's character, Mike Lowry's character. That the relationship with Kate del Castillo, and then to have this son who's basically, assassinating all these people.
Yep. And they, of course, a lot of the thematic elements that happen in the films tie back to other things that are going on. Like, earlier in the movie, there's a baby born, a new child, and then Will later finds out he's got a child. And then he feels all, it's a baby.
Don't do that.
Don't do it. No,
Don't do it.
Don't.
No.
It's a baby. So
Oh man, that's good. Mr. Mephisto,
Yes.
center stage, sir. What are your thoughts
was-
of Bad Boys for Life? Did you laugh? Did you?
I
Does Martin
actually
Lawrence make you laugh, brother?
I love Martin Lawrence so much. I loved him since the moment my European MTV showed him on screen from Def Comedy Jam, because they used to have like, late night shows for us, and it had like Def Comedy Jam. That's why I knew Martin Lawrence from. And then I saw Blue Streak and Nothing to Lose, and he was
Blue Streak.
What about House Party?
How
And House Party 2.
Oh my god, that's right.
That's where I got introed to Martin. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there,
But
Mephisto. I was just like, what?
I know, Tom. I know. But the thing with Martin Lawrence is it carried through to Bad Boys, and even in Bad Boys 2, he had those Martin Lawrence isms. And to me, even though it was 17 years,
Right.
he still had that spark. And actually, in Bad Boys for Life, he was way better in like doing his comedy than Bad Boys 2, because he didn't have that baggage of trying to, have that woo-saw and all that getting in touch with his thing. But he was
What's the comedic bit that just didn't work?
Embracing that he was sort of embracing his age, closer to retirement kind of a thing, without going into that Lethal Weapon moment where I was like, I'm too old for this shit. There were moments in that movie where you're like, you really want to say that line, but you can't because it's not your franchise type of thing. But yeah, the dynamic of Marcus, the neurotic, emotional guy, kept going, but it was set up more in Bad Boys 2 rather than 1. So he was still the family guy, he was still the neurotic guy, but he had more comedic moments. He was way more was funnier in this movie. And
he's playing his age better here. That's the thing, is he's kind of always supposed to be the senior, but I feel like in the first movie especially, he's still a little too close to Martin's age to even be playing that kind of a role, other than he's married and got a couple kids or whatever. The second film, it's almost like it's a little too much. This film is, I feel like, where they finally got the formula right with him and the dynamic between the two, and I think you agree with that, and I don't know if you do agree too, Mephisto, but yeah.
What I was gonna say is, and when it comes to the action moments, the action set piece and everything that they set up in, especially because coming in with new directors, and it actually affected Bad Boys Ride or Die. Having those like fresh directors that I don't know if they were allowed to do certain things or they had more power to do certain things, but it really, like, what you saw is a fresh outlook or fresh kind of a way to do action films, like closer to, okay, this is a new generation directors. They're letting their actors
kind of like how the
comedy.
first film did. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Like the starting moves of Michael Bay, kind of revitalizing how you do action from the 80s or early 90s, and bringing it to the new generation. This started it, and it carried over to Bad Boys Ride or Die. But you saw like new camera angles, and with bringing in ammo, they had the sort of a young guys versus old guys, and the young guys teach the old guys how to do things in the new century, in the new decade, all that stuff. And it also created comedic moments that you didn't expect to, and it was fun. And the action set piece were fun without the like mega explosions, right? It was more like contained, but it was great because you always felt like you were on the back step. You always felt like the movie was moving rather than just moving from one set piece to the big set piece to another set piece, and that sort of thing. And it didn't bog down with too much stuff. It just kept going. And it really shows actually in the fourth movie to me.
Before we get great commentary, Mr. Mephisto, great commentary. Before we get to Fletcher and his thoughts, on Bad Boys for Life 2020. I want to remind you guys, this is a new stream we're doing. I think we're going to be doing this weekly. Make sure you are subscribed. Trilogies and Timelines. When later on, when we're kind of wrapped up, we'll give you a preview, really just a list of movies I've compiled that we will in the future, bring to you guys. And, just invite different friends, whoever wants to come back. It's all, and really has a passion for these past films. Okay, before we get to Fletcher, though, there is a poll going on in the chat. And here are the results. I'm a little surprised by let me read this to you guys. All right, Tom, which Bad Boys is the best movie? Number one was 62%, the first one. That doesn't surprise me. Coming in at 22% is Bad Boys 2. That's the second one. Then
there's some people who like that movie, though. I will admit it.
There are.
Not on this panel. Ride or Die at 11%. Then Bad Boys for Life 5%.
What?
A little surprised, but hey, thank you guys for voting. If you haven't voted yet and you're on Sin's channel, you got to come over to my channel to vote in the poll. Fletcher.
Yeah, I think this one was so much fun, but at the same time, it had like a little bit of a serious undertone, this one, that the other ones didn't. This one had that, okay, this is for real type of situation. But at least for me and my kin, we were really excited to see like Vanessa Hudgens was in it. You had DJ Khaled in it. You had, everybody went nuts when Nicky Jam shows up, which is a famous reggaeton artist. So things like that, at least for, all the homies, was huge. I mean, it was like, oh my gosh, there's stuff. And the songs and the music it was like a party going to see it. It was really fun. It was really hype. Everybody had a good time afterwards, even though it did have a little bit of a dark undertone, which I think Kate Del Castillo was, so underrated, I guess. She didn't really get that much praise for it, but she did great. And, coming in from Mexico to boom, she blew up. Like that year she was doing, I think, like a bunch of stuff. So it was, like I said, it was at least from, the hood perspective of it, everybody was like, oh man, because so many people, so many cameos, so many things in this movie that everybody had a connection to. And then when you get there and it was good. And I'm sorry, it was Adil and Bilal were awesome. It was just like, wait a minute, what did we just see? It was like, okay, you saw a Michael Bay film, but without Michael Bay, and it was like fresh. It was new, and I think that's why they got so much work after that, because it was a great resume for them to show that, oh my gosh, they're great directors.
Well, and I think the second film was more successful worldwide, and I was curious if Fletcher knows. I got to imagine, especially because of the second film and then an extension into this film, and even possibly the new film, doesn't it have like a huge crossover probably with the Latin audience, I would imagine?
Yeah, it had huge, because like I said, it had Vanessa Hudgens is big everywhere. So they brought in the teen part of it. And then you had,
because it really feels like they're embracing it now. Yeah.
Yes, correct. It was like you had Nicky Jams. At the time, Nicky Jams was like one of the biggest. I mean, if they would have gotten maybe like Daddy Yankee or something like that, it would have like taken it over. But with Nicky Jams, he's right up there. Produced, a lot of the tracks for Daddy Yankee. So he was it. Brazil, Argentina, Mexico. I mean, plus you got Kate Del Castillo. Kate Del Castillo, I mean, I'm sorry, she's huge. She's huge everywhere.
I mean, it's really yes.
I mean, what I'm getting at is for demographics, it's going to help the movie, if anything. That was the point I was going to get to, because you have both the Black and Hispanic audience that are going to be going for this film, plus the general audience seems to be still okay with Will Smith. So, I mean, in the new one, I guess, but we'll get to that when we talk about it. But
my thoughts on Bad Boys for Life 2020. I'm sorry, were you done, Fletcher?
Yeah, yeah, I was the one thing I do gotta say that my black family side did think they leaned too much into the Hispanic side and not enough on the black side. Just on that one.
So, yeah, I was really
Interesting.
I was really taken aback with the whole Santo Muerte subplot. It was really, it's pretty sinister, but it's on point with drug cartels and their leaders that they actually worship and pray to this saint. And that has grown in popularity over the last few decades. So I was just like, whoa, they hit a bone with me on this one. And so with Kate's performance, it made it more deadlier. And then I want to talk about the son. I think this actor is incredible. He's got a presence where you just believe it. You believe, kind of like that French guy. You believe that he's a killer.
He's
Well, and
British.
you could believe, and you could believe that he's Mike Lowry's son. Maybe not Will Smith's
I was
son,
going to
but
get to
Mike
that.
Lowry's son. Yes.
Well, that's the character written. I'm talking about in the actor's presence, and then how you said the character written. That what a great twist as far as storytelling.
Yeah.
This the
Great.
storytelling was fantastic in this.
Mm-hmm.
And the directors, Adil and Bilal, I mean, where do these guys come from? So much fun. And now it's like, this franchise is like kind of like ascending upwards from just like your silliness action to like almost like urban superheroes. I don't know. I was getting some great vibes, and especially with this last one. So I really enjoyed Bad Boys for Life, and really enjoyed the tie-in with the son and with Kate del Castillo. Okay, anything you guys wanted to add, Tom, or anyone?
One thing I'll add is what I love it when a franchise, even though they switched directors, kept a few things throughout the entire franchise. And one of those things is that shot where you see the camera kind of pan around Martin and Will Smith.
The signature bay.
The hero shot.
Rise up or just look towards a thing that kind of cuts from one act to the next act and kind of telling, okay, there's a pause here, and then they're moving forward. Yeah. And they kept it throughout the entire, like all four films.
Yep.
And it's good. I like it when they tie in every single franchise together just like that, to make sure you're in a Bad Boys IP. Okay, know this is Bad Boys, not anything else.
Well, and the beauty of it is this is one of the greatest examples that I can think of, and I hate to throw, like Furiosa and Fury Road out there as an example of this, where sometimes a franchise needs to be saved from their original creator, right? Michael Bay was getting too Michael Bay for this shit. Yeah. But what you have with the new directors is they take all the good stuff from 1 and 2, the stuff that all the fans love, and they put it into this. And that's why I'm surprised that the score isn't higher. Because I agree with you guys. Like this one and the next film, I can see in the future as we're going along, even if we don't get another movie, these movies are going to be so intertwined with each other that it does kind of feel like the whole Lethal Weapon series to a point, in a way, like I was getting before, because they do tie into each other, they do feed into each other. They both of the 3 and 4 now have retroactively made 2 worth more, right? Yeah, like that's the other beauty of it too. So I mean, we could probably segue from part 3 into 4 now, I guess, because they do feel so intertwined, and so because they bring their own new stuff to the table, especially with part 4. But yeah,
I have comments. But with the panel, any other last comments on Bad Boys for Life?
Did anybody see the TV show?
Nope. Moving on.
Okay.
What?
No, they had 2 seasons of a spin-off TV show.
Oh no! Stop! We're not.
I never heard about
this. Fletcher.
Sorry, all right, see my way out.
Good. No.
This is where the
Aw,
female
poor
equation
Fletcher.
came in, because that's what the spinoff was the two female characters, correct, Fletcher, if I'm not mistaken?
Which one?
the ammo.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's basically it was Jessica Alba.
I can't believe it.
and-
See, Fletcher, I'm like, ugh. Go on.
Jessica Alba and
I
the other
thought we were
character,
gonna
yeah.
cover it. Nobody brought it up, so I was
Well,
like,
no, it's. I mean, all right. We
part
know
of it.
Never
we're
heard
gonna
of
do
this.
we're gonna do post production notes, but go on, please.
so it was called LA Finest. It was set in the Bad Boys universe, and it had
I remember
call
that
it?
show.
Jessica Alba and Gabrielle Union. Starting over in LA. So
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, it's to be Martin's sister, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it looks like Dwayne Martin started it.
Yeah.
And Ernie Hudson was in a few episodes. Oh, they had
Yeah.
Fletcher show up too. John
Yeah.
Saley's character looks
Uh-huh.
like he was in it as well.
Yep.
Okay. Well, was it any good? Did anybody watch it? I didn't watch it.
No.
I didn't know
Nobody
it.
watched it.
Actually,
Danny
No,
Trejo
Fletcher
was
brought
in
it up.
for Pete's sake.
Fletcher brought it up. So Fletcher, was it any
Now
good?
I have to watch it.
Cabrón.
Actually, I didn't watch it. I was like hoping
Oh,
somebody.
you know
watched
what?
Now you're fired. Jesus Christ.
Poor Fletcher.
out.
I
I
might
thought
have
he
to
was gonna
watch it
tell
now. It
us
does have a
something
few of
about
the
it.
characters from the universe, so I
Okay,
might
let's
have
get to
check it out.
comments.
And
Let's get
Danny
to the
Trejo's
comments.
in it too. So
Let's get to the comments
Oh,
on
Machete's in
Bad
it.
Boys
Okay.
for Life. Okay?
Okay.
Ugh.
Okay, you're out of jail for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that scene. When
Will Smith's
Oof.
son is the best element about Bad Boys 3. He completely steals the show. The scene where he takes out those guys with super sharp movements was so good. And he was full of flavor. Thoughts, guys?
He was very convincing. Yeah. I was noticing that scene. I was like, wow, I really like how that was choreographed and shot.
Armando. I just liked it when Martin Lawrence said Armando's name. Your son is Armando? It was funny, man. It was funny. Enigma. I believe Bad Boys for Life was repetitive. Same jokes, same stuff, same camera work.
Really?
The twist was good, but the movie is the same as the others.
I do not agree about the
I think
Yeah.
the camera work was different.
No,
Everything.
I gotta agree.
Yeah.
They brought something new to the table. Sure,
Yeah.
like we were like I agree with Mephisto that they did bring some of the flavors of Bad Boys 1 and 2 into the mix,
Mhm.
but it was the stuff we all loved. It wasn't over the top, and I felt like the action scenes were much
So much
served
better.
the story so much better than especially part 2.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to get to.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
it
So
moved it
we-
along.
We don't really agree, Enigma, but thanks for your comment. Furiosa, the camera work in that end battle shootout in Bad Boys 3
Yeah.
was so skillful.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Totally. Justin Channels is here. What's up, Justin? All right, what's going on? Now it's not working.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
What are you doing?
Oh, here we go. The urban superhero thing is needed, and to complete with the Fast X movies with the logic-defying abilities.
Yeah, not
That's
a lot
funny.
of logic-defying stuff in 3 or 4, the Bad Boys franchise.
A little bit, but not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't so much that it took me out of it, because some movies can definitely do that, and then I get annoyed because
If anything,
like
part
John
2.
Wick. This is
Sorry.
why I don't like John Wick 3 and 4.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd say if
I
anything,
know,
part 2
I
is the worst of that.
Can't,
Yeah.
like, ugh.
Mhm.
But this one is like, okay, I can buy into this. So
Hey,
There's a couple bits in 4, I would argue that maybe, but
You're
see,
back.
that's the weird thing about part 4
Probably,
as we
yeah.
get into
Yeah.
is that it really does feel like these guys are kind of like trying to, like I said, emulate things that were popular about the first 2 films, and that's where the second film here feels kind of like the second film back then in some ways. But I got to rewatch it again. I want to see it again, which is a rarity that I want to go back and see a movie again.
I had
So-
forgotten
Yeah.
how similar the intros were to 3 and 4. They're
Right.
almost
Yeah.
exactly the same. Because
That's
going to
be a problem.
Yeah.
And that was what I was kind of getting to before, was like, I can see these movies crossing over so much. I'm gonna be like, was that 3 or was that 4? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was part
Right,
4. You know,
yeah.
Yeah. They share so many of the, like, okay, Mark is going on a street, his Porsche is turning, well, and 2 is a Ferrari, and then he's gonna look over and the camera's gonna pan to the left and the right, so it's like, wait a minute, which movie am I watching now?
Well, yeah,
Well,
what this big action scene is happening, and they're just going to go see the birth of his grandchild.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Oh, they're just going to a wedding. Okay.
Which is
Well,
the
that's-
ending. Which is the ending of Lethal Weapon 4.
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
And that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
And not only that, like I was saying, what I love about Bad Boys 1, 3, and 4 now, and what makes part 2 is the outlier, is they all start with a car scene like that.
Yeah.
See,
Oh, see, I'd forgotten
and that was kind of what,
about
Mephisto,
one.
because like the first scene is they're just riding along. I don't even remember where they're headed.
The
And then
fir-
Will gets
in
pissed
Bad
off because he
Boys
dumps
1?
the fries. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, get it.
Yeah.
You got that engineering up in here. I can't get it. I come up with this
Yeah.
shit.
Dude, I think just the whole running bit with all the
And then they get
Porsches,
carjacked. Yeah.
the whole run, yeah, and then they get carjacked, and then Michael Bay makes a cameo. Actually, made
Yeah.
a cameo in the last
In 3 and
Mhm.
4, he does.
3 and
Oh, he
4,
did
which are-
in 3?
Yes,
didn't even-
he's
Yes,
the
he
guy
was-
who's
he's in the Porsche.
Yeah.
well, no, he's in the Porsche
no.
in this one, and I think he's playing the same character he played in part 2. And then I see in the third film, he's at the
He's at the wedding.
ceremony wedding
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the new one's he's a
Oh,
heckler
wow, I
or
didn't
something.
even totally
See, because
No,
in the
the-
second movie, he was a guy
I
in a
noticed
car
him in
too.
4.
Right.
Okay.
Either
I-
way, he's making a cameo. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
See,
great
what's weird
touch.
is I think he's playing the same character he played in part 4 that he played in part 2, because he was in the car wearing the same kind of shirt with the same kind of haircut.
Oh,
But then he's like all, dressed nice and stuff in part 3.
Right.
So I think that's supposed to be like a different character in
A
the universe. But
different-
yeah, they kind of plug him in different little spots here and there. But that's the thing, outside of not having I just forgot her damn name and I feel bad now. Teresa Randall.
Teresa
This
Randall.
film,
There's a
I mean,
red
they have done a pretty good job of bringing almost every character
Everything.
that's still
Yes.
alive
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Still
For
alive,
the most
right?
part.
And it's very seamless. It's very seamless.
Yeah.
And some that
anything-
aren't alive because they get texts from the other side. Woo.
Any other last thoughts on Bad Boys for Life 2020?
No, I think we've given plenty of last thoughts on.
Right.
I feel like that was the wrong title for the third movie.
Yes,
Agreed.
I
I feel
agree.
like it should
I
be.
hate
Agreed.
that.
Really?
When they
Yes,
use
it should be the title
or
for the
something in the
fourth
third film, it should be on the fourth film. I agree, Sin.
Yeah.
Like exactly.
Because it does say
I always-
ride together, die together. I do like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, this one should have been Ride or Die. This one
Yes.
should have been Ride or Die.
Yes.
The fourth film should be called For Life.
Or
And they
Exactly.
were better.
Yes. I
Yeah,
Did you
that
guys
agree.
notice something
Yes.
too with the ammo chicks? In this one, they all had those shaved haircuts, and then in the new one,
Cornrows?
they all grew their hair out long, which I really
Yep.
liked.
Well, there's only
I'm
the
like-
2 members of Ammo, or the 3 members of Ammo in this one, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Actually, back to this one really quickly. You had some stars in ammo, and what's his name? Melton didn't
Yeah,
not
I
come back.
totally forgotten he was in 3,
Mhm.
and the guy, the big muscular guy, the Vikings dude.
Yeah, we lost some of the
Mhm.
new guys. Yeah.
Alexander Ludwig stayed,
Yeah.
and we lost Melton.
Mhm.
But you know what? There's more than enough characters. More than
Yeah.
enough characters.
I think
Um,
you're right. If they would have had them in here, it would have felt too much like part 2 in the sense where we just had too many people coming in and out of the film. Like, who is that guy? What's this guy going on? Who's that? Oh, he was somebody from the last movie. Like, oh, okay. And it would have been too confusing for some of the audience, I think.
And they haven't used, well, we'll get to that when we start talking about 4. They haven't used ammo as much as the third one.
I wonder if Ammo's been shut down in between, because they almost function like regular cops now. But do they mention Ammo's still active? I'm trying to remember.
They said it a couple of
Remember.
times.
Did they?
but
Okay, I couldn't remember.
They
Yeah.
didn't highlight the fact that it's a separate unit.
Yeah, let's wait to the new one.
Yeah.
We got over 70 people combined in all our chats.
Finally.
Wonderful guys. Thank you so
Yes.
much. It looks like I'm going to be doing this every Friday Eve. So let me show you some of these movies that I think we will do. Trilogies and timelines, because some to have different timelines, like Tom was telling me with Halloween.
Mhm.
Some are very like the Dark Knight trilogy. We're gonna be hitting Hannibal trilogy. We're gonna be hitting all of these guys. We're gonna have a lot of fun with these. So if there's any suggestions you guys have, just get a hold of me. Okay, Well, thank you guys for being here. Joined by Mr. Mephisto, Sin's Corner, Tom from Midnight's Edge, and Fletcher. How about that LA's Finest?
Yeah, that's I'm gonna check that out because I think you guys don't give Gabrielle Union a chance, and Jessica Alba, who is a Latino icon. So even though she's not Latino, but she is one of the icons. I'm just saying, gotta put it out there.
Payaso. Anyways, okay, where are we, Tom?
I'm at my house.
Oh, that's nice.
What do you mean? Where are we?
I think we're now getting to to
part
the big
4.
film. To the big film.
Okay, well, I guess just
give me some preference between For Life and Ride or Die. And let's put up as far as production troubles, as far as delays, like you were saying, because we are going to do this now, and we'll do 2024. Let's go. Just guys, just keep in mind we're going to do non-spoilers for now.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tom.
I guess, I mean, yeah, as I said before, this movie almost didn't happen, and I think it happened mainly because of the slap, and things have calmed down a little bit police-wise. I feel like Will Smith really needed this film, and he needs it to work. Now, all that nonsense aside, I enjoyed the film. I wasn't sure going in if I was going to enjoy it as much as the last one. I'm not so sure that I did. I'm still kind of on the fence. Because Mephisto makes some good points in his review, and I'll be honest with you, without getting spoilery, like I laughed a lot more in this one than I did part 3. Like Martin is off the friggin' charts in this movie. Like it is, that almost might push this one over the third one down the road. But for now, I'm still going to say the third one is more solid of the stories. This one, there's elements that feel like it ties into the third film really well. Some of it almost feels like, okay, you're stretching just a little bit, but okay, not much worse than the last film, but really in line with it. It's really difficult to say that it's that much better or worse than the third film in either direction, because it just does. It fits so nicely with it, like a pair of shoes. And again, I had fun with it. I will say that if you're concerned about, any elements being overly woke or, a problem with Will Smith's character, like they do a lot in this film to humanize him, and they do poke some fun at him with the culture going on. I'm not going to say anything more than that until we get into spoilers. Because, I mean, other than that, like, again, Martin shines like a star in this film. Armando's great in it. The supporting cast is great. Really sad not to see Teresa Randall back. But Reggie's my boy.
Reggie had the best scene.
Yes, and that's what I was saying. Like, this movie is very pro-family.
Yes.
Has a lot of positive messages. And it's a breath of fresh air compared to what we've had in the last few years, I'd say.
Non-spoiler reactions, Sin, please.
I enjoyed it, but I like 3 better. Martin was funny, but I felt like some of the stuff was just a bit too over the top. And I'll touch on that a little more when we talk spoilers, I guess. Yeah, it was fun. It's probably my second favorite. So I know a lot of people, the first one is there, but for me, it's 3, 4, 1, and 2. That's the order of my favorites right now. I feel like I should rewatch number 1 because it has been many years.
Sin, what's funny about that is that's some people's Lethal Weapon order.
Really?
Yes.
That blows my mind.
Usually it's 3, 1, 4, 2, but yeah.
To me, the first Lethal Weapon is the absolute best.
No, I know. Most people do.
Wow.
That's the rarity. But there's been some people I've run into in more recent years who tended to lean more into the family 3 and 4 than they did the first 2. But yeah, that's where I'm saying, like, if you enjoyed those films, that's what this franchise feels like it is now. It's taken, the place of the Lethal Weapon series in our generation.
Mr. Mephisto, let's go with Mr. Mephisto in your first impressions, non-spoiler impressions of Bad Boys, Ride or Die.
Anything I'll say, if you've seen the trailer, you know. Like, they pretty much in the trailer give you the starting plot, not the whole thing, which is always good. The starting plot, the starting point of where this movie is basically going. It has a basic plot structure for the entire movie, which is always good. I said in my review, it's about 100 minutes. I checked it again. I think it's 104 without the credits. Even shorter than Bad Boys for Life, even better, because everything is tight. There's no extra stuff to this movie. It's just a regular action movie that you get, which is also a comedy action movie. Martin Lawrence brought his A game. Sin, I don't know how much you know Martin Lawrence himself. Being over the top, it's his shtick. Rewatch number 1, and you'll see a through line between number 1 and number 4 in terms of like Martin Lawrence himself, in terms of just the comedy bits.
Yeah, he definitely
There are
didn't feel
so
as over the top in the third one, though. So that's what.
There are so many moments where I saw the old Martin Lawrence. One of them was the joke was, I'll talk about it on the spoiler thing, but one of them is a joke that you don't actually see in the trailer. It is in the trailer, but it's not. And it was like, oh, this is like an old joke. It was great. And what they did was subtly, very subtly, flipped over the Bad Boys, where Martin was like the neurotic, like over the top dad guy. And because of Will Smith's change in the movie, they kind of flipped over the fact that like Marcus became the more outgoing guy, and Mike Lowry, which was like, I want to be like Mike Lowry, turned into the more neurotic kind of
like Martin is in the first and second film. Yeah.
The guy who's more hesitant is like, if you saw the trailer, it's like, why are you eating this? Right? The fact that he's like complaining that Marcus is eating garbage and he shouldn't eat garbage, which kind of it's the starting point to what you actually get throughout the movie. And it's a great like flip over of the dynamic. Now, it's not all the way, but it's a great little take of like, okay, what are we going to tell in the fourth movie in terms of how are we setting up this dynamic duo again and telling a new story? And that little twist was great.
It's also a little bit of a play as well on what they did in part 3, where Martin made that promise that he would never bring violence into the world again. Right. Yes. So it's almost kind of a play on that a little bit, but I think this works almost better than that in some ways. But again, I can see where mileage will vary, and like I'm kind of at first leaning more with Sin on some of this, with like part 3 being the better film. But then again, the more I think about part 4, it was like, God, I had a lot of fun, even though I was like one of 3 people in the theater at the time. Me and the 2 other guys behind me were still laughing through the whole damn.
There was laughter in mine.
Yeah. And I got to agree with Mephisto, like Martin is pitch perfect in this movie. Like,
the one thing, and it's a general feeling, right? The one thing that happened with me with this movie is I had almost zero expectations, especially because it's a fourth movie. Like I had almost zero expectations from Lethal Weapon 4. And it's not this, you can't really compare the two, but I really had a sense of the comedy was really spot on. And it really made me think about the comedy in the first one. It really made me think, because the third one, because of the dark storyline, you had comedy moments, not quite the same. And this one actually brought it back to the beginning, but the entire movie feels like a new age. Like this is 2024. This is a new decade, a new action movie. Yeah. It's not 1995.
Nice.
It
Nice.
feels fresh. In terms of like action moments, camera work was even better than the third one. You saw the same kind of shot composite, but it kind of brought it even one step further. And I like that. I like to be like, oh, you can do that? Great. And I saw the behind the scenes, how they did it. It was like, this is not like virtual camera type shit. This is physical stuff that they figured out how to actually do it.
Very creative. It was very creative.
Indeed.
Before we get to Fletcher and his non-spoiler take, the first poll's done. Let's bring that up. Which Bad Boys movie is the best according to you? 60% was number one, 21%. Bad Boys 2, Ride or Die 9%. For Life 7%. We have a new poll up now, though, so make sure you go and vote for that one. Which are you going to see the new film that's up right now? But all right, so you guys are just with the OG ones. It's like 81% of you guys are with the OG ones. Okay, all right, interesting. Fletcher.
I think it's also because what people remember, you know.
Sure.
You just remember having a good time and stuff like that.
Give us your
We're talking about
non-spoiler. Give us your non-spoiler thoughts on Bad Boys for Life.
I thought it was.
Excuse
fun.
me, Ride or Die.
Oh, Ride or Die, yeah.
See, it should be
See?
called that.
See? Right?
And when we get into spoilers, you'll understand why Sin and I are just like, yes, it makes so much more sense if you flip the titles. But anyway,
funny.
They need to just like fix it. Just fix
just do it. Nobody's gonna notice.
Yeah, true. I agree.
All right, go ahead, Fletcher. Come on.
Yeah, I had a good time. I think it's one of those movies, like you guys have been saying, just you have to go to the movies for it. It does enhance the experience. I went to a movie theater that's a little bit, it was like 50% hood, 50% barrio. So everybody was dancing. Everybody was talking throughout the movie. All the jokes landed. Everybody was hilarious. All the cameos landed. Everybody, like, oh my gosh, the aunties were talking like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, oh, that's right, they're gonna kill him. And it's like, don't know you did it, Marcus. So it had a great time. We were dancing in the aisles. Everything like got like a response. It was literally like, like going to church and you got a call and response. The film said something, the audience said something. The film said something, the crowd said something. So in that, it was masterful and I got to give it to Martin Lawrence. I agree with all of you, because to me, I kind of know he was all right, but Martin Lawrence, man, he was on fire. I mean, fire throughout the whole thing. His jokes landed. His acting landed. It was great. And the supporting cast, gold. I mean, Vanessa Hudgens and the one kid that's the computer guy, the white kid that's it was hilarious. And his son was great too. Yep. And all the stuff in the movie worked because they give the girls what they wanted, which is all the guys that are able to take their shirts off took off their shirts. And all the girls that could take off everything else took off everything else. In the sense, all the action was on play, all the comedy was on play. It just hit everything. And you were like, wait a minute, what did I just watch at the end? Because I'm like, this is good. It felt like summer movie.
So thanks, Fletcher. Before we get to everyone's spoilers, really quickly, my experience was same as far as Hood and Barrio meet together, and they were hooping and hollering throughout the whole film. We were clapping, guys. We were actually clapping, and you know what? That's what movie going experience should be about. And me and my buddy Reggie, I went with Reggie. We just kept looking at each other. We're just like, and it's not like storytelling is not complicated, And he was like, remember, this is all they used to give us in Hollywood. He said that to me. I'm like, yeah, dude. You know, I mean, was it perfect? No, but it was hella entertaining. I was immensely entertained, and you know, I actually thought I had a lot of heart. I love the whole thing with the son, and we'll get into that in a minute. Again, we're here on Trilogies and Timelines. Thank you guys so much. Bad Boys Edition. There's a new poll in the chat. So why don't we now go to spoilers?
Well, just before we get into spoilers, I have a little bit of story about my experience going to see this film.
Please.
This movie's going to cost me a hell of a lot more than I know at the end of the day. I don't even know what this movie's going to cost me yet. So the fact that I did enjoy it and didn't find a reason to hate it says everything in the world, because I accidentally got into a bit of an accident on the way to the movie. My first accident in like 20 fucking years or better.
Oh.
Okay,
It was a minor accident.
Okay.
Still.
Yeah, so I have no idea what the damages are going to cost me yet, but I scuffed up against another person on the way there, and yeah, so we'll have to see how much it's going to cost me at the end of the day, but hopefully it's not even my fault, but I kind of half-assed took the blame already, so I'm sure I'll end up paying for it, but yeah, it's because I felt bad for the other gentleman who was involved, but anyway, that being said, yeah, so this movie might cost me a lot of money, kids.
Spoilers then.
Well, let's get into your spoiler review.
Reggie's my boy.
Yes.
Fucking Reggie.
There we go.
And he
And
left
if
us
we can have you on camera for the spoiler review, please.
Okay.
That would be great.
And I'll tell you, man, I mean, leaving the theater, like you said, you guys were cheering at the end. I mean, I was the only one who clapped in my theater, but I clapped because I was laughing so hard at the last scene. But no, so overall, this movie is great. Again, I want to see it again before I really truly say if it's better or worse than part 3, because I just laughed so much during this movie. Martin steals the show. Reggie's got some great fucking moments. I mean, and the slap business, I think you even had the scene up from it in there.
Yeah.
So spoilers, kids. Like, yeah, they do actually address the slap in a way.
Oh, tell me. I must have missed that.
Oh, okay. Well, they do it
must have
brilliantly.
gone-
It's when Will's having his, I think, the last of his panic attacks, and he goes into this vision thing.
Yeah.
And not only does
Martin,
Martin smack him out of it,
Right.
he just for no good fucking reason just starts smacking him like 3 or 4 times.
That was funny.
And you're like, this is what they're gonna do.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
that
it. That's
scene
the scene right there.
That's the
Yeah,
scene.
that was
That's
funny.
He
exactly
just
the scene.
smacks the shit out of him. And at
He
some point
does.
you're like, I think he's really smacking him.
And you know
That
what's
was
funny
great.
is that you really see Will Smith like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah, you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing to kind of say I'm sorry. And I
Right.
thought I heard a rumor like they even tried to get like a Chris Rock cameo or something like in this movie,
Oh.
and he turned it down. Because
Yeah.
they were gonna. So I wonder if they
I'm
weren't
glad.
gonna have.
I'm glad. You know, there's a lot of
I
choices
think it
they
would have
could
been
have
too
made.
distracting. I agree.
I'm glad
Might
they
have been a
didn't do
bit
that.
cringe.
I think so. I think the way they did it here, and plus the whole plot of putting Will in this position, like that's the thing.
Mhm.
This is one of those elements where you can actually bring your personal experience to the table, and it works for the film because of the point that Will is in his life. Like he's in his midlife crisis. This is a big point brought up earlier in the film. They established this thing with him having panic attacks. You got to imagine this is probably how Will feels in real life right now. Like his whole life is caving in on him over this, slap. So like it feels like a lot of this movie is really trying, because even then at that point, that's where Martin brings back the whole speech before that he was talking about with, yeah, we bad boys, but now it's time to be good men. Right.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So,
Mhm.
it has that kind of element. And he even says, you're a good man. Because, sure, Will Smith has been feeling like everybody's telling him you're this horrible, horrible, horrible person. And really, it's not so much that we think Will is a horrible person. We know why he did what he did without getting to the minutia of the whole details of it all. So I feel like America is more than willing, at least a lot of people are probably willing to forgive him. He's got to make a few more steps. I think this was a step in the right direction. This scene works great in the film as it is. It's not distracting and it works in a hilarious way. It allows you to laugh at Will, with Will. Martin being the guy sitting there just smacking him around just works so brilliantly in the scene.
So
And
you know
like
what's
you guys
funny
were
is
saying
that
earlier,
I
it's
didn't even
just-
think of that until you brought it up.
I
Oh yeah,
didn't
it's
either.
there, and a lot
And
of people
now
have been
all
noticing
they're like,
it, yeah.
oh my God, you're so right. His whole
That's
redemption,
It's pretty
I love that.
everything.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Anything else you wanted to add before I go to Sin?
Well, I don't want to steal too much of the thunder from other people because, like, yeah, I mean, Reggie gets the best moments in the film otherwise, and I mean, the dynamic between the father-son stuff that's going on there. Like I said, this is the refreshing part of this film. There's not only a strong family message in this movie, but strong what it means to be a father, a strong male, a husband, a protector. I mean, things that Hollywood has been just pushing away for the last few years, this movie fully embraces.
And redemption.
I mean, even it feels like it embraces the Second Amendment like a mofo.
Yeah. They had that sign up there for a reason. If you noticed, when they went into that camp to get the clothes, it said Second Amendment space or something like that.
And that's even a funny scene because that's in the trailers. And that's another thing I'll give this movie. Guess what, guys? I haven't seen all the trailers yet, but the first two big trailers that I saw, none of the biggest jokes are even really all that spoiled. Like some of the funniest bits are not even in the trailers. So
there are only 2 trailers, and they don't give away the entire story. They just give you a starting point, and they don't give away the good jokes. The really good stuff.
Let's save it.
The movie.
Let's save it. I want Sin to go ahead and give us her spoiler review of Bad Boys. Ride or die, not for life.
So I have a question. Did Reba really do that song?
No.
Oh,
No.
shoot. That would have been perfect if she had.
No, I know.
Okay, so I know you guys are praising Martin Lawrence. His humor didn't work for me. He felt a bit slow, sluggish, and it just like the whole scene in the beginning with the candy and the hot dog, and then when they're in the middle of maybe it'll grow on me, but they're in the middle of the gunfight and he's trying to catch a piece of candy in his mouth. And I was like, no.
One of the
that
best
didn't
jokes.
work for me because it was a little so like in the third movie there was some humor in the midst of the gunfights and stuff and like the chases, but it felt, I don't know, it felt proper-ish. It didn't, in this movie it went a bit over the top because I'm like, come on, they would not be having these conversations really in a knockdown drag out gunfight. So that stuff didn't work for me. I did not hate it. It was not enough to ruin this for me, but it is one of the things that I remember first when I think of this film. The scene with Reggie was so kick-ass. I had the hugest grin on my face. I was so happy. And
go ahead and give a little description of that because we can spoil it now.
Yeah,
we've been talking about it
That's
for
right.
the last hour and a half. Reggie is a Marine.
He's such a badass,
and he's just back on.
You never
he's
know.
Back from where
movie.
He was deployed somewhere.
I forgot where he said he was deployed.
Yeah, because that's a great scene earlier in the movie too. When Martin comes home, he's like, "Where's all my snacks? Did you eat my snacks, Reggie?"
He ate his snacks.
Yeah.
Well, you need to get a job.
Poor Reggie, but he's such a champ. He's such a good sport. So the baddies are coming after the families. They're coming after Will Smith's wife, and they're coming after Martin Lawrence's family. And Reggie is a soldier. And, well, I mean, we know that we know that in the third movie.
In the third one.
Remember if we knew that in the second one.
No. He
was just in high school. He's like 15 or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, poor kid. I felt so sorry.
What?
He was so great.
You look 15.
Yeah.
But so in this movie, they show up to...
Or you look 30, I mean.
To take care of, the family. And Reggie just absolutely takes them all out in the most awesome gunfight battle. It was just so fantastic. I loved it. And there was a lot of stuff that I really liked. I liked the whole thing. One of my favorite scenes was the scene in the Army helicopter thing. I thought that was fantastic. I loved how that came together. I was actually a bit scared that the son might die, even though I don't know why I was. But, the chief died, or the captain died in 3, so I was wondering if there was going to be a death in this one.
I almost thought they might have killed him at the end. It's funny you brought that up, Sin. I thought they were headed to that point at the end.
Right.
Where he was going to sacrifice himself to save the captain's
Well, and not only that, I
Right,
thought he was
right.
hurt worse than he was letting on, too, is what I was thinking. I thought he was going to die there by the tree with the girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. I don't think, by that point I wasn't concerned, but I was concerned in the helicopter thing. But that would have made no sense because that whole journey, I wasn't expecting that to happen. I didn't watch the trailers, you guys, because I didn't want to know. I did know the scene about the Reba stuff.
Yeah.
And I really don't like trailers anymore, and I didn't even want to know that. I wanted to go in as completely blind as possible. But the thing with the helicopter, I didn't expect it was going to go in that direction. And then when it did, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be the moment where father and son are going to bond a little bit more. I had completely forgotten about the scene at the end of the third movie where Will Smith shows up at the jail to offer his son, oh, you want to pay off some of that debt? So this has been going on before, and that's very briefly touched on in this movie when he presents him the offer again.
Yeah, because he says, this time this is for me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I really like how seamless this movie felt compared to the third movie. Not compared to, but how they tied all that together. So I think as a whole, as far as this series of movies, this franchise, even though I don't like the second movie very much, and I'm not super crazy about the first movie. Maybe that would change if I rewatch it. But I feel like this is a pretty solid series of movies. And I was happy. And I'm probably going to go watch it again with my son because he hasn't seen it yet. And we saw the third one together on the big screen. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for that. And we're going through our spoiler reviews of Bad Boys Ride or Die, Not for Life, 2024. Lots of fun happening in the chat. You have a new poll. You have people. Basically, it's 50-50 whether they're going to see this movie or not.
Oh, I hope it does well. I had heard this was supposed to make 75 million, and now I'm seeing 40. So I don't know which figure was wrong.
So before we go on with Mr. Mephisto's spoiler review, we got a chat. We got a super chat via PayPal. From one of our newest members, Terry I, sent us $25 to help you buy some movie tickets. Let me tell you, brother, I paid with my Cinemark monthly membership. I hadn't been to a Cinemark in like a month and a half, so I actually used my 2 tickets. I took my friend Reggie, but I did buy popcorn and a drink. So the $25 covers that. Dude, thank you so much. That definitely gets you the grito. Hi-oh. And someone with not so quite a high voice, Mr. Mephisto.
Not really.
Is going to give us his spoilerific review of Bad Boys Ride or Die, the 4th edition, brother. This is the 4th film. Yes. 30 years in the making.
The one thing I thought about, I didn't think about it before, but I thought about it now, is the fact that Mike Lowry marries his psychologist or therapist.
Physical therapist, I think it is.
And it kind of, again, made me think about like Lethal Weapon. What if Riggs would have married the therapist in that scenario? Because she was there, I think, in all of them except for the 4th one. And it was like, I
think she's even in the 4th one, maybe. You might be right.
It's sort of an interesting choice where it's actually grabbing sort of a through line from the 3rd movie, where he got shot in the 3rd movie and he never went to therapy, but between the 2 he actually did, and that's what softened him up. And I went to see this. I didn't mention the audience. My theater was about 70-80% full. This is a completely different crowd. This is not a US crowd. This is an Israeli crowd. And when Reggie started to mow down mofos. There was I didn't say it was like a cheer, but you kind of felt the audience at that point. And this is something that I've never, like, not never, but I haven't experienced in a very, very long time, where people react to whatever's on screen. And like I said, my crowd is a different type of crowd than you get in the US. I would love to be sitting in like a predominantly black audience while the Reggie scene was on. I would probably enjoy that scene even more. It sort of like, it didn't gear towards that audience. It was generally a badass audience by a character that you kind of really didn't expect to, and they worked on it. They actually worked on it with setting up the whole "you're stealing the snacks" thing. That's what made that whole scene great, because yeah, we know Reggie's a Marine, but he's just a Marine, right? They don't do badass stuff, and when it happens, it was like, oh, that's right, the Marines are badasses. Not like it was like Navy SEALs type shit, but it went over the top. But it just made not only an action point, but actually a comedic point at the same time, because they flipped you.
I got a third one for you.
Okay.
And action, comedic, flipped it, but also too, it was a man protecting two women, and they made it very clear in that moment.
Yep.
And that's something
that's what I was saying. Yeah,
that was so dope, dude. We went crazy. We went crazy in the audience.
The tension in that scene is like, it's palpable at first, right?
Yeah, I legit thought something absolutely awful might happen.
And this is what you do. And I mentioned then at the non-spoiler stuff is, we haven't seen a simple story in a movie in a while, and it's so fresh, Paulie. You don't have to explain everything. And yes, some things are like, oh, but what about this? You could have done that. It's like, if you stop being nitpicky and sit in the theater with your popcorn and drink and just watch an action movie for an hour and a half to an hour 45 and just have a laugh. It doesn't need to be a 10 out of 10. It just needs to be even a solid 7, that Tom went out of the theater and was like, oh, I just laughed my ass off and just enjoyed.
Even though I just got out of an accident. Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoyed a fucking experience. Just a fun experience.
But we'll get back to your solo real quick. But you're so right, because when does this jerk ever love anything nowadays?
No, and that's the thing. And I just want to go off of what Mephisto just said, because there isn't really anything in this movie that I could think of like, oh, I would do this differently, or I would change that. Outside of Teresa Randall, that's like the main thing that bothered me. But then I did some research and found out, okay, well, obviously there was reasons
you couldn't join it,
couldn't do it, but whatever. Point being, like what you just explained though, Mephisto, is great, because in that whole thing that we just got is a through line through the whole film. In that scene that sets that up, this is great writing, because you have it sets up where Reggie is in the relationship of the family, reminds us of who he is. He's sitting there giving us this image that he's just this, dumbbell playing video games all day, right?
Right.
And then you also
we think it's a throwaway character.
Yeah, and then we also sit there and we see in the same scene now, while we're without even over explaining things, but it's setting up shit for later. The video feed that Martin has set up. Right? Because that leads to the joke, because he's blaming Reggie, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to pull up a fucking video. And he's like, that's right. I got a video in here. And then, of course, he sees his wife, and he's like, Teresa!
Yeah.
But that also then sets up the scene that we just explained, where later on, and Martin's
get yourself on camera, man. Come on.
Well, I'm smoking. I don't want to smoke on camera. Anyway.
Okay. So, all right, get yourself off camera then.
But either way, then later on it sets up, because Marcus is like, throw up my video feed so I can check on the house, because they knew something's coming down. And that's when he's like, calls Reggie. Reggie picks up and he's like, something about to go down. And then Reggie just fucking does it. And then that leads to the last scene in the film, which is the
Right.
you know, the capper of everything, when they're arguing over the fucking grill, and then Reggie comes in with the chicken, and that's the big payoff. And I don't want to
love
fucking
that
spoil it for
scene.
anybody.
Great payoff with
That was
Reggie.
amazing. I love that.
And this
Mr.
is-
Mephisto, any last words there?
Yeah, I was gonna say one of the things I love about movies is the fact that you have tiny little setups and tiny little payoffs, and you get the big setups and big payoffs where the setup is not obvious. If it's not obvious, then
Yes,
the payoff
exactly.
is you're like, oh, that's right. And like I said, the one joke that Sin mentioned, the fact the candy
I love that joke.
flies up in the air.
Oh my God,
and he
I loved
eats
it.
The
Oh,
one
that's
joke that
But see, this is-
I knew it was
Right.
Nobody
very,
likes a black motherfucker.
nobody likes
the black ones.
Nobody
See,
likes
listen,
black ones.
listen.
Licorice.
I hated the black beans when I ate it.
Right.
It's-
Oh, yeah, the
Everybody
black belly
does.
beans, yeah.
Everyone does.
Oh, it was so good. And
Because he was so
so
jonesy
many
for
moments.
sugar, but he spit that one out.
these
And
little
I
tiny
understand
moments
it.
within a broad like action set piece is
Mhm.
what the Bad Boys franchise was all about.
Always
the
about,
dynamic
yeah.
between Smith and Lawrence. It's all about it, Sin.
Yeah,
And that's why
Yeah,
those
that's
moments
true.
that
I
you
mentioned
feel like
that in my review. Yeah.
But I can
Those
understand where she
moments,
comes
I
from.
really
Like
like
Martin
that.
is one of those guys where if you don't like his humor, you just don't like his humor. But see, I had the opposite effect with the helicopter scene. See, I thought that was probably the only scene in the movie that was too over the top for me.
What about
But I
the
mean,
alligator?
That was
The
just
alligator
funny.
That was
Yeah,
so
that
predictable.
Hilarious. Oh my God.
This motherfucker's
That's
racist.
it is racist.
It's an albino alligator, guys.
albino alligator.
Oh my God. And you're right, because Mr. Mephisto, it's such a simple setup, but there's so much that they throw in there that's so entertaining and heartwarming and just and
you knew-
and
Paulie, you knew when they said it was an escaped alligator, you knew
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
gonna be there.
oh yeah.
Of
But
course.
the fact that they actually surprised you on actually where it is, you're like, oh, this is great.
Yeah,
This
you
is
even know
just
his name.
Well, it
You
actually
even know
plays.
his name.
Yeah,
And then
it's a
when it
goof.
pays off, when it gets the bad guy, you're like, yeah, my people were cheering for the gator.
See, to me, that's the payoff. Exactly. Yeah. And you're right, Mephisto. This movie has so many great
Oh.
setups and payoffs. And some of them, like the alligator one, yes, it's going to come into play somehow. But you never know that you're going to see that scene later on with Reggie with the setup in that first scene there. Because you just feel
Yeah.
like it's just a
Yeah.
joke. It's a
Yep.
one and done joke. And as soon as you realize later on, this is setting up this whole, and not only that, one of the most badass scenes in the whole fucking series.
Camera.
Yep.
That's why I said
Camera.
that
Say it again.
the Reggie scene is so good because it works on multi-leveled scene. You got the guy protecting his family. You got the guy who is sitting around playing video games,
Games. Right.
Yep.
COD, and you're like, he's like a washed-up Marine.
Just
He's
like, yep.
deployed
Yeah.
everywhere. We don't know what he done, and immediately he goes into like tactical SEAL kind of
Yep.
Dude, he
moment.
becomes a
Oh
machine.
my fucking
Becomes a
god!
killer.
So good.
Listen,
Yeah,
I
dude's
would-
playing
I
Call
would
of Duty.
I would pay a
he's
lot.
literally playing
to
first-person
sit-
shooter.
I would pay a lot to sit at like an LA theater like you guys had.
Oh,
And
we
just
lost it.
Enjoy the crowd.
We lost it.
Crowd would have like I imagine it. The crowd was like, "Oh shit!"
Dude,
that-
we were let's get to Fletcher's spoilerific
Oh,
review.
yeah. He hasn't even brought his review on yet.
He hasn't brought his spoiler review. Fletcher, you're on, brother.
Yeah, no, like I said, it was fun for me. I thought everything hit. I thought Will Smith was a little bit dry, but he made it happen. Like he brought it in. I mean, Martin Lawrence and the backup cast, I think, was everything. Everybody was just so on point. Every line, the writing was great on this movie. I mean, it was fun watching this movie again. I got out of there going like, oh my gosh, I got to see this again. And seeing it, like I said, in a theater with like Hood and Barrio was epic for me. Because usually when I go to that theater, it's usually either I'm by myself or is, I feel on the lighter side. So having like, a lot of people together that will enjoy the movie was just made the movie like 100 times better for me. There was a little bit of a lull in my sense with that after that scene with the trailer park. I thought went a little bit like the meth billies went a little bit too long for me, and but other than that, I thought the pacing was great. All the cameos worked, and it was just all enjoyable. And not seeing anything like you're just waiting. What are they going to hit us with? What are they going to hit us with that's going to take me out of the movie? And it never came. And that to me was gold. I was like, wait a minute. Was this just a fun movie that I could just go in and have a great time? What? It was really, really well done. Everybody was amazing, and it was everything for everybody. I think Reggie killed the show. Reggie. Everybody was talking to Reggie, and I'm sorry. Yes, the most badass thing that
hold on a second there. Can you start all over, Fletch? Not start all over.
Reggie part.
Yeah, your mic.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So on the Reggie part, I think when everybody was like, he went all Call of Duty, John Wick, Reggie, I thought that was amazing. Everybody was cheering, and that little salute at the end was the best. But to me, the best Reggie was the end, where he's got his chicken, and then when he comes in the barbecue, and anybody I'm sorry, you got family that's in a barbecue, everybody's uncle, that's Martin Lawrence. The fact that Will Smith character now wants
what you doing coming on over here with an apron on?
Yes, that was to me like I was rolling. That is so true, because my uncle, I'm sorry, dude, nobody touches a grill, and that was like so on point. So when Will Smith comes in and he's like, oh, now he's got an apron, you're like cracking up before he even gets there. But when Reggie is behind him and he's like, permission to cook my chicken, sir? I'm sorry. I was
standing there with that face.
Permission to cook
standing there.
So serious.
That was great.
Just with his chicken, and it goes, is he still standing there? And then they're like, he did kill like 17 people.
Guys.
All right. So hey, let him cook his chicken. And then he's like, and the smile, I'm sorry, that to me, like I said, the B characters and Martin Lawrence, I'm sorry, they killed this movie. This movie was murder. And Bilal and dude, they killed it. It was so well done and so non-CGI crazy that I didn't even know what I was watching. I thought I was it's like 2000 movie again. It felt great.
Yep.
Summer movie.
Yeah,
Awesome.
And there's something we haven't even talked about yet, and that is Martin's kind of through line. Yeah, we mentioned his heart attack, but we forgot to mention that he has it kind of goes with the thing we were talking about before, which also works with Mephisto saying, where it flips the roles of the two guys from the first few films, and also plays along with his promise to God in the last movie, where he actually dies and goes and sees the captain, and the captain tells him he can't die because it's not his time. So he's got like this where he's just like, everything I can do, anything I want, nothing's gonna happen to me, free spirited, and like that whole thing. And I loved that bit with him, and it just worked so well. And again, I love the scene with the candy and the whole thing, setting it up. And that is kind of realistic how they said it. Even though I knew it was coming, because I was there, like my dad had a heart attack, and it was almost like it is in the movie. It's kind of weird. Because at first I'm like, are you sure you're okay? Like I said to my dad, and he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I just got to go down he had a doctor's appointment anyway. He's like, I'll go down later to the doctor's appointment, find out if anything's going on. Cause he's like, I've just been nauseous but hungry and stuff like that. He's like, and stuff, just weird, like symptoms like that. It was like the symptoms that Martin was having just before earlier in the night.
All the hunger and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
The weird crash he was having there. And then little did I know, after I dropped my dad off, I get a phone call like 15 minutes later, like, yeah, your father had a minor heart attack, or had a heart attack, and he's going to go in for surgery and all that stuff. Not minor at all. It was a heart attack. And he ended up with bypass surgery and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, wow. It's just weird how the way Martin was acting is like, they did a good job with that. And then afterwards, the only thing I would say is like, I'm surprised they didn't play into it more. They only have it a few times come up where you feel like, They don't even really say anything. They just have it come up in the sound where you hear his blood pressure going up,
Mm.
right? And you can kind of tell that he's reaching
Wow.
that
I didn't
limit.
catch that. Okay.
Yeah, and because that's when I was starting to wonder is, like with my dad and worried about all that stuff. I'm like, he shouldn't be doing. And that's kind of what the helicopter scene. And that's why I was saying, like, I think that would have shook him up enough to where he would have probably had another heart attack. But okay, I was like, especially him trying to pull on that thing. Like, that's the thing, like that the doctors said really big time is like, you cannot, and they even have it in that scene, no loud noises, no strenuous action, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
Especially for those first few weeks. Like, you're not even supposed to lift more than like 5 pounds or whatever, like anything like that. Even bend over and get back up quickly and certain things like that.
He always had that air of like invincibility. I
Yeah.
died already. I'm like free. And
Yeah,
that
it was great.
whole scene where he's standing at the very ledge, being Martin Riggs at that moment, and like he has no care in the world. I'm bulletproof now, just like Mike Lowry was.
Right, and when he steps in the traffic,
it's a very subtle flip.
When
very
he
subtle
saves
flip.
him in the bridge, when he saves him in the bridge, when all that kind of stuff, that all the times that you're like, wait a minute, is he really in the audience? You're like, is he really invincible now? And then it pays off at the end when he's like, well, who am I going to shoot? The one guy who can't die?
Well, and the weird thing about this is and this is why I still think they should have had Bad Boys for Life as the title of this one, and Ride or Die is the title of the last one. Like, Ride or Die, there's a lot more dying in the last one, right? Like, a lot of people are getting killed. That's the whole point of the film, and they kind of got to ride or die at that point. Martin Lawrence has to make a choice. Is he going to, help one last time or whatever after his retirement and all that kind of stuff? So to me, that would have fit better. And for this one, like, I'm throughout the movie, like, I'm sure some of you guys were like, who's going to die? Like, I feel like we're either going to lose Martin or we're going to lose somebody by the end of this movie.
Let me get to my spoiler.
Yeah, please do.
Review.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because and great job everyone on this panel. If you're watching this, almost 90 people live in our combined chats. Fantastic.
Nice.
I encourage you guys to make sure you're subscribed to everyone here on this panel. We have the links in the chat. Thank you, Fletcher, for making sure that happens. I have to tell you, I think we're all in agreement that we're kind of surprised how entertained we were. That it's very simple, right? You give us our heroes. You give us impossible odds. Like, here's a big through line, right? In regards to our Armando, the son, from the last movie to this movie, is that he's been imprisoned, and there's it's barely a relationship with Will Smith as the dad, but he goes to ask him, like, you can identify this guy in this new film, and they're transferring him back to Miami on an airplane, and he's in very much like a Con Air kind of cage, and then it goes to shit, which you knew was going to happen, but what I didn't know was, like, oh my god, is Armando going to die? Because
that's what I was thinking.
how are they going to get him out? And Will Smith's character would not give up on it. It was fantastic. It was such a great payoff. And I think there's a fantastic payoff with this actor, that he the way it's written is that this character should be dead because he was a killer. He should have been killed off. Would have been, okay,
die. Yeah,
right. But the fact that Mike Lowry never gave up on him, and then his character Armando saves Pantaleono's granddaughter during the closing fight scene. You're like, oh my god, but he just wouldn't die. Well, he's just like Will Smith's character.
Yeah,
he's
like the son of Mike Lowry, the bulletproof.
Paulie, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we got to point out one thing that we have missed that's very important about that. I totally just reminded me.
Yeah,
because it's set up, and we got to point out, because throughout the film, Pantaleono's daughter is a U.S. Marshal.
Yes,
and she flat out fucking tells Will Smith, if I ever see him, I will kill him.
Yeah.
Yep.
So here's what I thought was going to happen real quick.
Yep.
I thought the end of the movie was going to end similar to what it did, but I thought since Martin kept saying it's not my time, it's not my time, I'm like, okay, we're going to end up seeing his time. And when they kept going through this through line with the father thing where he kept trying to get them two to bond, I thought what was going to happen is the end scene, she was going to go to shoot Armando, and Martin Lawrence at the last minute would jump in front of the bullet. And then when he was about to die, go, no, now's my time.
Right.
Get with your son, make shit right.
That never occurred.
And then he would go, and that would set up the future for those two to be together. But they didn't do that. But like that's what I thought was going to happen.
You can't kill off Martin, right? Unless you kill the series, right? Unless you're done with the IP.
Yeah, I don't want either.
No, I thought that's where it was going to go, and I was surprised they left it open the way they did. I just wanted to point that out, that we were expecting this character to die or somebody to die. That was the whole point. Yeah.
Well, what you bring up though is that we were expecting when we're watching this, it's like, okay, this is the time Armando's going to die. I mean, definitely when he got stabbed like downward with that knife. I mean, he's done. He's done.
I thought he was going to die by the tree and saying he was sorry for killing
her
grandpa.
It was going to be poetic and just so sad, but I loved it. And let me just get back to my spoiler, guys.
Sorry. I didn't mean to detract.
No, it's okay. No, listen, guys, I highly recommend this film. It's one of the biggest surprises for me this year. Probably the best action comedy film that Hollywood has put out thus far this year. And in regards to Will Smith and his redemption, and it is what it is, but I gotta tell you, people love him. People love him and Martin Lawrence together. 30 years of this, that his likability is undeniable. Probably one of our last movie stars, and he's back. He's back, and the great supporting cast. And you talk about who's back as well is the two filmmakers, Adil and Bilal, who are so creative that they don't rely on trick as far as CGI tricks. That's what killed Furiosa for me. And that's what's killed a lot of the Star Wars for me, is you rely so much on modern technology. These directors are throwbacks. They're throwbacks, and I was so happy to see this. There's a lot of language, and there is some intense fighting scenes, which I think are fantastic. But there's just a lot of emotional payoff in this film. Absolutely 100%. So that was my thing. Okay, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, no, I just wanted to bring that up because we hadn't pointed that out yet. That was, I thought, a very important well, that's why we kept thinking somebody was going to die. At least that's why I was thinking that she was either going to kill him or somebody was going to save him at the last minute and sacrifice himself. And being that they kept running with this life thing with Martin, which again goes back to why this one should have been for life. Because it is like,
it's true.
It has a lot.
It's almost like For Life Part 2. This is like a perfect sequel to the last movie.
But I still say that the titles would have worked better the other way around, and they kept bringing up Ride or Die more so in the last movie. Like that was what they kept bringing that up, and it became their mantra. But whatever. That being said, you're right, 100%. And the more I talk about it, the more I think about it. This may even be the better film. I may agree with Mephisto on that one, because it does have more deeper elements to it in some respects. But of course, it also helps that I love the Martin stuff too. Yeah.
You really should watch the third one. Like, if you haven't watched the third one and then you're coming into this one, you'll miss out on a lot of stuff, even with Reggie.
Oh, yeah.
The whole Reggie thing was a big setup, even from the third film, right? All throughout, because you had Reggie didn't play a factor so much, just for like comedic moments in the third one, but then it kept on going till that, like the Reggie scene up to that point. That's a big setup, and that's probably only because you had Adil and Bilal kind of continuing on the series, which kept that line through. And it's funny, and I mentioned it before, and you just mentioned it, Paulie, having camera work, there are moments of CGI, but it's not in your face, and it fits within the sort of mechanical camera work that they did. I bet you saw how they did the whole first first person thing that they did.
Yes,
And
that was cool.
And the thing with the first person is, and I mentioned it very briefly in my review, the fact that you have directors that are young and they're coming in fresh, even if it's an old franchise or a revitalized franchise, whatever you want to call it, you have new directors coming in with new ideas, and the CGI moments where you have camera work and CGI together are, it really reminded me, because I'm coming from a sort of a gaming type. I'm not a huge gamer, but I love gaming. The fact that you have moments where it's a virtual camera type work with like physical camera work, and the virtual camera work using CGI is hidden within the actual like physical camera work that they did, was great. Because if you know the behind the scenes, you're like, oh, that's how they did it. But if you don't know, it fits seamlessly, where you don't know where the camera really is, or if they actually used a CGI moment. And
no, it was very integrated very well.
They took that gaming stuff that it's in let's call it in AAA gamings, where you have story narratives, and they took that into the movies to make
overdo
an
it.
Action movie.
They didn't overdo it.
The only time I would say they overdid it a little bit might be with the drone footage a little bit, like during some of the fights. But like even that's
it was so fun
at this
though.
point.
It was fun.
Yeah, because Mephisto's right, and I think you either pointed that out in your review, or I was seeing some other people point it out too, and I agree. Like
a line,
yeah, there's a lot that really works in this movie, like jokes and other cool action scenes, just because of how they're working with the camera. And that's where I agree with you. Like sometimes a fresh voice is not a bad thing. Sometimes these properties need to be saved from their creator. And I mean, Michael Bay's obviously somebody who needs everything saved from at some point, most likely. And these guys got the right formula. And I agree with you, Mephisto. The camera, the way they use it as a special effect in itself, like the hot dog scene we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
The reason that's so funny is because of the camera
in your face like this. It's a moment. It's just a moment. It's not the
and it's also
really
paying homage to the big fucking fish scene in part 2, I think, as well.
Let's have you guys react to these comments, because I do want to wrap it up.
I know. One thing, not overused. It's in moments, not overused. That's the most important thing. That dumbed down the Michael Bay.
I got to get through these comments because it's going to come back to the directors. Because I do want to bring up something up with the directors. So, but I want you guys to react to some of these comments. So here we go, guys. Martin Lawrence nailed it. I put Bad Boys 4 as the second best over the third film.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't agree. But okay.
Agree.
Saw it today and it was so good.
Yep.
Did you guys? Who saw it today or who saw it yesterday?
I saw it yesterday. What time did you guys see it? I went to the very first showing, 3:00. And so there wasn't a lot of people there, but there was quite a bit of laughter. I was going to ask you guys, when did you see it? Like what time frame?
I had the same experience. There was hardly anybody there. It was the 4:00 first showing of the, but mine was also in the DLX screen, and there was a standard one that had already started. So I have no idea how that one sold. I didn't even look, but I was glad to hear other people were, because when I posted my thing on X saying, well, looks like more like die than ride. Unfortunately,
because you were there early.
I saw it Thursday evening, 7 p.m. I was really scared about getting too many teenagers, because I saw Ghostbusters Afterlife at the same time frame, and it ruined the movie going experience for me, because they just, there's talking and there's like talking on your phone, not paying attention to the movie kind of talking.
No.
I was afraid of that. Nope, the audience was dialed in.
Great. I saw it today at the 3:45 screening with my boy Reggie Johnson. What's up, Reggie? I met Reggie and we saw it together. He's another martial artist buddy of mine, and man, we had a great time. So thank you, Jared, for that. Where are we? Martin eating jelly beans and drinking fruit punch before battle scene was amazing.
It was Kool-Aid. It wasn't fruit punch. It was Kool-Aid. It was bright red.
I mean, that was just hilarious. Joe, man offered 2K for a ho-ho.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm trying to remember the scene.
He did. He was offering. He wanted him to bring him something for 1,000.
Right.
And then he offered
Skittles,
2,000
a bag of
for
Skittles
a
for
ho-ho.
1,000.
Yeah, Skittles for
2,000 if you had a ho-ho.
Ho-ho.
He added the ho-ho. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Jared comes back, says, great point. It's so fun and great entertainment. That's what we talk about on our channels all the time, that we want to be entertained.
Yes.
And look who delivers, Mr. Slap Happy himself. Okay. What's blowing my mind, Terry I says, Tom likes it. He really likes it. And Jared comes back.
I did.
You did, buddy.
I don't hate everything.
I'll definitely be checking these directors' films going forward. Very talented. Solomon, Buddy Cops are one of my favorites. I can't wait to see it. And I also heard that Mel Gibson is directing Lethal Weapon 5.
Okay.
There's a Lethal Weapon 5?
Yeah, it was
they've
actually
been talking about that for years.
Yeah, and actually I guess it got really close to production under Richard Donner before he passed. And he had stated and set it up that he wanted Mel to direct it if he didn't make it.
Wow.
And I don't know what has been going on since then. I know Mel was doing Passion of the Christ. That might be why it's taking a little longer. I don't know.
I think he's as close to a comeback as you can get. I think he's back. Wild Man Beyond for $4.99. Thank you, Wild Man. This movie may be even more hype for Beverly Hills Cop 4 despite its Netflix. Tom, I don't think you're happy.
I would be if Tom didn't tell me the stuff behind the scenes, and I was like, Tom, goddamn,
no, I haven't heard this stuff.
The trailer was good.
I know the trailer.
So hard to be hyped for the movie.
The trailer's hiding some things. I hope it's not as big of a problem as it could be, but yeah, you're right. We'll see. In a month from now, exactly.
You know what, Tom? What if they cut away the stuff that you told me and made it minor, and because what they saw coming down the pike with this movie, because they probably have seen it. Because the producers and all that stuff, they've seen this movie like Ride or Die way before it came out.
Well, here's the thing. Netflix does do preview screenings, this is where I learned about what the movie was about as a breakdown. Somebody saw it and they told me the whole breakdown of the movie. And they do the whole taking their what's the word I'm looking for when you do a what was that?
Picking up the mantle from father.
No. They have all the audience fill out the form thing, the questionnaire. I'm trying to think of what it's called.
The survey.
Survey. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. But somebody had told me, actually more than one person had told me, and specifically more so Script Doctor had said that the way Netflix works is they don't usually do reshoots. And I hadn't heard about any kind of reshoots or anything like that. And they don't really alter the movie all that much after they do these test screenings. What these test screenings are usually for is to decide what to put in the trailers. So that's what has me even more worried is okay, it's because the fact that they're really hiding the daughter in the trailer.
Yeah.
And that's the part that the person that I talked to said was the part that landed the worst in the film. Although they seem to enjoy the film a little bit more than I thought it would turn out to be. So we'll see. Maybe the trailer is a bit more indicative of what the movie really is. But
I didn't even know there was a daughter involved because I haven't seen the trailer.
Oh, let's move on.
So thank you, Tom.
$4.99. Thank you so much, Wild Man Beyond. And coming in for $20. Be Marte, or Be Mart. How many stars out of 4 would you give this movie? Let's go Mephisto first. What would you give this?
3 out of 4 stars. Because
3 out of 4 stars.
It's not a perfect movie, but I don't need a 4 out of 4 or a 5 out of 5 to be in the theater and being entertained, and bring it back. Even like looking at a Netflix movie, if I'm entertained, it's good enough. You don't need a 10 out of 10 every single time. You just need to have escapism. Paulie, you mentioned that at the start. No politics, no woke stuff, and no like current day isms. It's sort of like they're in their own Miami world, self-contained story. Again, not a lot of outside, like real world. And that was the one thing that was in my head all the time. It's like, when are they gonna, like, where's the Trump joke? No Trump jokes, no president jokes, no nothing. It was their own world.
And the redneck scene could have went there easily.
And
easily.
Well, I'm trying to do some calculation because I rated mine out of 5. So,
what was your 5?
Well, my initial thought was like 3.25 to 3.5 out of 5, but I might be leaning. I know. So
it's like a 3 out of 4, 2.8 out of 4. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe 3 out of 4, or like 7 out of 10. I liked it. I did not hate it, and I was happy that it was a fun experience.
Love it. Thank you, Fletcher.
I think for me, if I were to go 4 out of 4, I would have gone 4 DJ Khaled's out of 4 DJ Khaled's. It's another one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And
Tom. Here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of the 4-star system. I like, kind of like with Sin was going there. Like, I generally like to go with either a 5 or at least a 10. I'm generally more leaning to a 10. Because then it gives you more room to kind of explain where your feelings are. Because, there's those only few films that go to a 10 out of 10. An 8 or 9 out of 10 is really damn good. Then you get to the 6 and the 7 out of 10 where it's
10
good.
out of 10. Do it out of 10.
I would kind of go more with a 7 out of 10, like kind of with where Mephisto's coming from. Like, it's not perfect, but you're gonna be hard pressed to find a better way to spend your money at the theater right now. Maybe Planet of the Apes might be the only other film out there that's worth the money it costs to go see a movie right now. That'd be about the only other thing I could recommend. But I had a lot more fun with this than I did that. That felt like I've been there, done that, seen this already 3 times. This movie felt like I'm getting an extension of the last film. I'm getting an extension of the series to this point. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm seeing fresh things. It surprised me. There's a lot of setups and payoffs. Nothing I would change, even though I was anticipating certain things, as we talked about earlier. I was kind of surprised by the way it did turn out, and I was happy about it. Sometimes you just got to make a movie that's gonna make the audience happy, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have, and the chances that are taken, like Mephisto pointed out, they do more to take more chances with the technical things than they do with the story and the characters. Like, that's where they played it safe more so is, there's a little bit more out there fun things with like Martin and stuff like that. But that being said, it's a very grounded film. And I like that about it. It's a movie we haven't had in a while where, again, not bogged down in any of the modernisms and politics and bullshit. If the slap got us that, then great. Great. Because you know what? If they'd have made this, I still feel if they'd have made this movie when they originally had planned it, it would have had to deal with the BLM crap. And it would have been hovering over the fact that they're cops throughout the film, to where that's not the problem here. The problem here was trying to fix Will Smith's image. And that is, in that case, I don't know if it's going to or not, but the movie benefited from that, I would say. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, definitely a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Okay. B Mart, thank you for the $20. I would say out of 4 bigotes, I'm going to give this a 3.8 bigotes. Absolutely love this film. I had a great time. I think that we have to put that first. Will Smith, I believe, always puts that first, is that he loves to entertain his audience. And I think, and I'm so happy to that as entertained as I was, and I do think you should see the third one, the one from a couple of years ago. These two together, it's just fantastic.
Yep.
Okay, Wildman comes back for another $4.99. Thank you so much. I have hope for Beverly Hills Cop 4, since this is Bad Boys franchises. This and Bad Boys franchises are produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. Tom, do you share that?
Maybe, because actually Bruckheimer didn't produce part 3. So again, the trailer made me feel nostalgia, and I know a few things about it that, again, I'm not going to say anything more because I don't want to piss anybody else off.
Yeah.
I have hopes for it, but I'm not going to get my hopes too high. At least with this film, I went in with very little expectations because, I mean, outside of how good part 3 was, I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I still, at the end of the day, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, listen, this has been a fantastic stream. We're wrapping up soon. Over 90 people in the combined chats. Much love to everyone in the chats. Make sure you guys are subscribed to all our panelists. Y'all been great here on the panel. Mephisto, Sin, Tom, Fletcher. Hope you guys had fun, man. I want to bring something up. So, you know what? Let's give shout outs as far as these to Wildman and to who was my other guy? The one with the $20.
Be Marte.
Be Marte. Hey, I want to give you guys a thank you video. Can't be let's give you a little thank you from Puerto Rico. All right, guys, I have for my panel two items related to Bad Boys before we get on out of here. Well, if you could keep your thoughts as quick as possible, I'd love your quick thoughts on this. Will this help Will or Martin as far as this new movie? Thoughts?
Will.
Okay.
Yeah,
Will.
agreed.
Well, hands down, Will. Even though
Yeah.
Martin was the brighter, shinier, funnier star of this particular movie, Will Smith is going to benefit tremendously. Tremendously.
What this did remind me of, though, is that I think Martin needs to do more.
Yes.
I don't think we've gotten enough Martin comedies. I know Sin won't agree with us, but
Well, listen,
It was
Sin
just too
doesn't really
goofy for
I would
me. I
have
mean,
some fun with that.
some
There's
goofy
no-
comedy just doesn't work, and it was a little too much. But the comedy in the third one was perfect for me. That's why I love it so much. It just was
Okay,
a good
good.
balance.
Good answers, guys. Appreciate that. This last one, I think will spark some interesting comments from you guys. I think these directors got the shaft and got canceled with the slap and then with Batgirl. These are incredibly talented men. I want to know what happened with Batgirl. And this came up. Batgirl started trending on social media after a behind-the-scenes video of Batgirl director's new movie, Bad Boys 4, went viral, showing Will Smith's gunfight scene, point of view, camera setup. Fans argue that they don't believe Adil and Bilal could have made an unwatchable Batgirl movie, as Warner Brothers claimed. What say you? Let's go start with Tom.
Again, I just don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say that the movie was bad because of them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand that this movie meant more than just the story it was, from my understanding and the understanding of a few other people, and as we reported. Because this was supposed to set up a new trinity of the head of DC being, carrying over Wonder Woman, and then replacing Superman with Supergirl and Flash. And then this was supposed to be our Batman Beyond, kids. Like, that's something I don't think people realize. This is what they took Batman Beyond and turned it into. Because it was going to be Michael Keaton handing off the mantle to Batgirl. And Michael Keaton said he didn't even know what he was doing in the movie. And I mean, the movie wasn't even completely finished. It was meant for streaming, and then it got bumped up to theatrical.
Bump up, right? Mm-hmm.
And it didn't bump up the budget, though. So this thing was still budgeted for a low end,
under 100 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, I'm not saying that's not enough to make one of these movies, but I just have a hard time believing that the movie was going to be any good, considering what we were getting out of DC at that point. And these are the same people who were pushing crap like Birds of Prey. I get it.
That's good.
I would love to see it for some, just morbid curiosity, but I know what it was setting up and I know what it meant for the future of DC at that point, and we dodged a bullet. Do the directors deserve to be in jail because of it, though? No, because it wasn't their fault.
Nice. Excellent. Mephisto, what say you?
I agree with Tom, and I've got only a very short thing to add to that whole conversation, because I fully agree 100% with Tom. I saw The Flash in the theater. I don't need to see Batgirl, because
that's mean.
The people who were in charge of The Flash were in charge of Batgirl in terms of production team, all that stuff. And Gary said it numerous times. Some directors are cast rather than being hired to do a job and create their own vision. Bilal and Adil created their own vision in Bad Boys for Life, and then carried that over to Ride or Die, regardless of the stupid title change. Okay. But it's their own vision, and I think the studio gave them leeway. I have a feeling that they got a lot of leeway to do their own thing in these two movies, especially in that fourth one. So Batgirl, being canceled is just a massive thing. I don't think they got canceled. I think they were not at fault for Batgirl. I don't think so.
Good.
I really
Fair
don't
enough.
think so.
Thanks, brother. Sin.
I did not realize that they had actually directed this movie, the Batgirl movie. That does not make me any more interested to watch it, because I wasn't going to watch it anyway. Because, okay, quite honestly, I did not like the race swap stuff. I just didn't like it. I'm getting so turned off by that nowadays when it happens, I'm just like immediately not interested. I'll pass. So I wasn't going to watch it, but I don't think whatever was wrong with this movie, I find it really hard to believe it was because of their direction. I think, like we've already heard, it's probably because there were other powers at play that were screwing it up. So
fair enough. Great. Fletcher, what say you?
You're muted, Fletcher.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess for me, because they had Batgirl, but at the same time they did have Miss Marvel. They did help out with Miss Marvel on that, so it was almost like they went to two things that were panned at the same time, and then they went back to kind of doing like indie things. I think they went to do an indie movie in France or something after that. So I think they kind of took it like Paulie said on his Dear Rachel letter to Rachel Singler, where he's offering her advice, is to go back to your roots. And I think that's what the directors did. And that's why I think they were able to come back even harder. But I think what helped also in Bad Boys, it wasn't just the directing was fresh and everything was, well done. But the script was on point. It was super tight. You got everything that you're supposed to get, and it was boom, 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 and the performances were on point. So
no, thank you. I will say this. It's done. We don't need to see it. It was shelved for a reason. I had protested a little when it first was announced that it got shelved. I walked out of the theater after seeing Bad Boys, and I asked my friend Reggie about this. And he had a great answer because he's like, listen, there's great action directors that you give them a superhero film and it just doesn't translate as the same.
Roland Emmerich.
and I was like, you know what? I can't argue that. I can't argue that. And so that's how I feel about the Batgirl. I am so happy though for these two talented gentlemen because these directors are throwbacks as far as action entertainment. So yeah, anything guys wanted to add on that?
No, I think you guys hit all the finer points of it. And yeah, with the Marvels thing, I mean, even that, I mean, I think that helped them a little bit because even though the show wasn't viewed, it wasn't panned by everybody like some of the other Marvel stuff was. It was actually well received. So do I believe they could have maybe made something watchable out of Batgirl? Oh, very potentially.
Mm-hmm.
But I still feel like that this thing was probably some sort of train wreck waiting to happen. And their career is probably going to be better off in the long run, but nobody does see it, to be honest with you.
Correct.
Because then there's still the air of mystery there. Mm-hmm. And if Bad Boys plays out the weekend like it started, it's going to be okay. It's going to go right in line with the last film. Mm-hmm. Sure, that's a little bit behind if you figure in inflation, but it's still, for right now, the way movies are playing, this goes along with what I've been saying is you put something in the theater that people will like and that people are enjoying and word of mouth is helping it, people will go see it. And that's where I think, you know, because people were freaking out about Furiosa, and it's like, no, I think the main problem with Furiosa here is you got a niche franchise, first and foremost, second and foremost. Yeah. You've turned off your female audience by removing Mel Gibson and now Tom Hardy. And evidently Chris Hemsworth is not a good enough replacement, especially under 10 pounds of makeup. And a movie that nobody really asked for, right? Like that's the other problem. And it's indicative of everything that people are rejecting right now. You know, and even hear Sin say, like, I'm just done with the race swap thing, right? Like, you know, it's like, aren't we all? Like, is this the same thing? Like, look, I get it. She's not playing Mad Max, but it's the same concept here. And if they had done that with this movie, because that's the beauty of this franchise now, is I'm all for them extending this beyond where they're at now. And if, you know, Martin retires and he has to have a new partner, it could be Will's son, or, you know, even the Reggie character could decide to be a cop after he's been a Marine for so many years. I would love to see that. And I would love to see their dynamics together and how this continues on if they wanted to do something like that. And again, I don't think if Batgirl doesn't get canceled and the slap doesn't happen, this movie is not the movie we get right now. This movie would have been completely different if those two events didn't happen. So if, to me, this is probably the best for both parties involved, or all parties involved, and hopefully it plays out the weekend like it started, because I was surprised by the opening weekend or the opening night numbers, and if it keeps going through the weekend, it's going to hit about $60 million.
So that's what you think? So I heard 75 initially, and then I heard 40, which surprised me. So I wondered if it was in trouble. I mean, 40 was reported as being good, but still.
Let me give you guys. Let me grab a couple more minutes of you guys, because this came out just right now, and you guys this is the transition question here. Before let's finish out our stream with that. You guys have been great, everyone in the panel, and then we got the poll results as well. What say you panelists with this movie? Box office predictions. Will it jumpstart the summer of Hollywood? And let me just add this. In the Forbes article that came out today, right? It said that every week the box office this year has lost money the same week of last year. This has been a horrendous year for Hollywood. Okay, what are your predictions, guys?
I'll start. Sin, you mentioned that you're gonna go back and see it again with a friend.
With my son. I'm sure he'll want to go see it, and I would like to rewatch it.
See, all the great movies, all the entertaining movies, we'll say that had longevity and made it in the box office, all had a good word of mouth. Not to mention a decent film. I don't mean great. I mean decent. Entertaining film, word of mouth, and people that said, well, I just stepped out of it. I cannot wait to take someone else with me. Not tell them to go, with me to go and watch this film. Like all the great movies of all time since the invention of the blockbuster, which Tom says it's Jaws, but we'll take it at face value, is I just stepped out of a very entertaining movie. I want to go back and take someone with me to watch it again, which means you have the same people buying extra tickets. Maverick had that, which is a recent example. Maverick had what Valiant Renegade said he went to see it 3 times in the theater after it was already came out on streaming, which had that longevity that pushed it to $1 billion. It didn't start off as $1 billion movie. It pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. And if it went on streaming, people still went out and watched it on an even on a regular screen, not even an IMAX screen, and pushed it towards that $1 billion mark, which is like the standard big time, right? I think this movie has legs. I think people would want to go and either rewatch it or see what it's all about if it had like a good buzz, which I think it does. We'll see. Is it going to hit that $1 billion mark? No. But 500, 600 worldwide, I can see it. Which is a good thing for a summer blockbuster movie. It's a
Who's
great
next?
thing.
Who's next? Thanks, Mephisto. Oh, you were the first, Mephisto.
Yeah. Go
Sin.
I'll go ahead, Sin.
Oh, what was the initial question?
It's right there.
It's almost
Box office
one here.
predictions, and will it
box office
jumpstart the
predictions.
summer for Hollywood
I don't
in
know
a year that has been so bad? And also, too, you gotta remember, it's like we've had films that keep saying this is the beginning of the summer box office, and they have not.
Yeah,
They've either underperformed or flopped.
Exactly. I don't know that it's going to necessarily kickstart and improve things. I think audiences are being so much more picky and discerning about what they spend their money on, and they're being disappointed in lackluster stories or just meh stories, especially because it's so expensive to go to the theater. Box office prediction, like I said, I'm confused. I saw at first 75 and I was surprised. That seemed really high. Then I saw 40 and then I was like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. So I don't know. If it does really well, if the word of mouth works through the weekend, then maybe 50. That would be my prediction. We'll see. You're muted.
Yeah.
Paulie.
Oh, sorry, 50 for the weekend. Okay,
Yeah.
Fletcher. Fletcher, you have a prediction?
Yeah, I think it was gonna. I don't know what's coming up next that could match it, because I know that everybody been talking about Wolverine and Deadpool, and I was talking about it with my wife, and she wants to go see Bad Boy. She didn't get to see it, and my sister, I believe, she wants to go see it. And it's like I don't know any normie friends who want to go see Deadpool. So that's kind of like what's next. I mean, the biggest thing that I think is Wicked. It's like everybody that I know, it's talking about Wicked on one side of the family. But it's like what's next? I mean, is Twister gonna do it? Twisters?
Twisters looks great.
Yeah, that looks
the trailer
fun.
in the theater looks badass.
Bad
And
Boys
Glenn,
Bad Boys might have a good second weekend. The next weekend is Inside Out 2 and Watchers. Both
Watchers came out this
PG
weekend.
and below. It's
Yeah,
not the
Watchers
same
came out
crowd.
this weekend.
I saw that after I saw Bad Boys and was not happy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to Tom, guys.
I think that the 75 prediction you were seeing, Sin, was probably the worldwide prediction.
Okay,
I'm
that
thinking at
makes
this
sense.
point- Yeah, and actually it might be a bit higher now because I don't know if they were planning on this movie doing the 50. I was hearing 60-ish, maybe 50-ish at first. It's hitting in the range. So it could go as high as 80 worldwide, 75 worldwide, maybe a little more. It depends because Will Smith, and I'm going to be curious to see how this weekend goes. I'm curious to see how far the slap went right? Because I can see some people in the chat from the US. I can see that being a bigger deal in these states as opposed to outside the US, where I don't know if it'll affect people as much internationally. And from what Fletcher's saying, right, there's a good example. I mean, I don't think it is. I don't think people outside the US care that much about the slap, or at least North America anyway.
Yeah, nobody cared in
maybe-
South America.
Yeah, so I don't think that it's going to affect it worldwide, so that might help this movie, because the budget for this is not too bad either. I think it's 90 or 100 million, and I don't know if they had a bunch of money put into a campaign at all, but I know they had Will and Martin out there just pushing the hell out of this movie. So
have you seen the Jimmy Butler thing that they put on like Sony's YouTube?
No.
They have I think it's a collaboration with the NBA. So they have Jimmy Butler sort of retiring from the NBA and coming to do Bad Boys, and Will and Martin are doing like, oh, are you gonna be able to do the Bad Boys? It's a 2.5 minute kind of it's a fun little thing.
Like a skit.
Go watch it. It's on Sony Entertainment. It's really good.
So my prediction, I think it's gonna do incredible. I think the word of mouth is gonna be amazing. It's got a pocket to really, kick things off. I think Inside Out will take some of the families, those same Latino and Black families that are going to this film that are going to make it a hit will probably go see that a little bit. Inside Out, more of the Latino families than maybe the Black families with Inside Out. In this case, it's star power. These are stars, and they do a great job, which I think, that can't be understated, that Hollywood needs its stars. I think what Hollywood makes a mistake is trying to manufacture stars, and it doesn't happen as far as the box office. It doesn't translate. Zendaya is actually a good example of her doing a smaller film, $55 million budget, Challengers, and now I believe it's made over 90 million because her actual fans keep going back to see that film. Great first step for her on being a box office star. But we need more, right? Tom Cruise, Will Smith. So, I think this is going to do really good. You guys got any other closing thoughts on this?
No, go watch it. Don't wait for it to go on streaming. It's worth the high price of admission. Like I'm fully aware. Even here, the ticket prices are like rough, especially if you get a seat. And I don't mean like IMAX screens. I'm like regular like Cineplex kind of a thing. They're really expensive, and they tag on extra stuff in it. So it is expensive. Going out, parking, all that stuff that attached to it. I think it's actually worth it because it's less than a couple of hours of just pure entertainment. Don't expect Shakespeare, okay? Don't expect a Shawshank Redemption. It's just going to the theater and watching an entertaining movie and escape for a couple of hours.
All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to do a hard out. You guys have been amazing, everyone. And I want to thank the panel, Tom, Mephisto, Sin. We've been putting up your links in the chat. You guys want to let people know where you're next headed, and then we'll close it out.
Yeah, actually, I got to run. I'm a little late here. I'm going to karaoke with CC Karaoke.
Nice.
So yeah, in fact, if you're available, Paulie, you got an invitation.
Thank you. I'm gonna eat and let my dogs out and take it from there.
All right. Well, I'll
Mephisto.
have it sent off to you. So
yeah,
thanks
please.
for having me, and this is a lot of fun.
This
is
is amazing.
All y'all.
Yeah.
Don't just subscribe to my channel. Just check out the channel first and see if you like it, and then subscribe. Okay, that's I want to earn a subscriber.
Mephisto, stop telling people what to do or not to do, man. What's going on? Guys, I love this channel.
Paulie. Thank you. But yeah,
I love this channel.
Go ahead and enjoy. And 40-year anniversary, Ghostbusters and Gremlins.
Wow.
June 1984. my
Crazy.
5th birthday, because it is my
Wow.
birthday.
Wow. Bonkers, man.
Oh, it's your birthday
Sin.
today?
Cool.
June 8th.
Well, happy
Nate.
birthday, man.
Yeah, we're
Birthday.
gonna have
June baby.
this afternoon for the US. We're gonna cover As Good as It Gets on the show. One of my favorite
I love that
films of
movie.
all time.
It's a great movie.
And it's also like kind of a birthday stream. So if you have time, if you want to check it out, it's going to be fun with our lady in the house, Horror Amarada is going to join us.
There you go. There's a link right there. Sin's Corner. What you got going on?
I've got 2 reviews I just did. I just haven't put them up. One is for The Watchers, which I saw after Bad Boys, and that was not a fun experience. and then also In a Violent Nature, which I had seen the night before. So those are my immediate upcoming.
All right. Well, Fletcher, we have our final poll results. Are you going to see Bad Boys 4? 38% yes, 31% no, 23% maybe VOD, and 6% nope. Got vatos at home. There you have it, Fletcher.
And we turned some heads because you know what? Earlier on, it was just no. It was just no. I think everybody everybody thought it was positive. I think changed a lot of heads.
Yep.
And I just gotta say for Mephisto as I head out, how do I write women so well? Well, I think of a man and I take away reason and accountability.
And you know what? Jack said he hated that line because he thought it was too mean.
Nah, it works perfectly
get
with
out
the
of here.
character and it's hilarious. But anyway, love you guys. I gotta run. Take care. See
All
you
right,
on
brother. Go have
karaoke.
fun.
Bye, Tom.
This is what I love about Paulie. This is what I love about going into watching the movie and then going back and see what's the behind the scenes stuff and suddenly being really? That's what you actually thought about the character? One of those movies is As Good as It Gets.
Yep. Fantastic. Thank you guys so much. So on the channel we have new reaction videos with me and Romy that are up. Those were a lot of fun to record. We got some great reactions to that. People were really digging it. She gave her actors insight. And what else? We're gonna have Salty Nerds as our guests Monday night. Salty Nerds. And then of course we'll be in the pocket, guys. You know, I try to balance that stuff out, because we're gonna do the acolyte stuff, but we balance it here on the channel. We recommend a lot of different movies, so look out for those recommendations. Anything else, Fletcher, before we say bye and good night?
Go to thelatinoslant.com, which is Paulie's awesome website, and in there you will see a lot of great reporting from LaLiFA, which was the Latino film basically showcased here that they had in LA. And Rosa Parras was out there checking it out, and she's got a lot of great reviews on stuff that you should check out that you might have not seen. So go check it out. It's thelatinoslant.com.
Thank you for reminding me that. So here's a couple things on the website, right? Get on over there. It's and sign up for our newsletter. It goes out tomorrow. It's free. We don't give your emails out to anybody. I have 2 outstanding writers doing reviews every week. Rosa Parra covered the Lali Film Festival. She has some great reviews that she did. And Alfredo Galindo in Mexico is covering. He's going to do a retro review of Los Olvidados from the 50s. Luis Buñuel's classic movie Los Olvidados, and a new comedy starring one of my favorite Mexican actors right now, Memo Villegas. That kid he's not a kid, but that guy is just hilarious. So that is where we get to be a little bit more kind of, diverse within our Latinidad. And that is on thelatinoslant.com. Final thing I'm going to say about that website. By next week, you're going to see a brand new design. It's going to look cherry. It's going to look really cherry. And we finally got that new design going. I will be seeing the new takes on the Latino Slant by Monday. we're really building up that website out. You know, here with our YouTube channel, we like overlapping with channels such as Sin, Mephisto, and of course Midnight's Edge. We get a little bit more pop culture here, whereas with our website, like I said, we really we're hitting more of our pop culture Latinidad. Okay, guys, we're out of here. You guys have a great one. Mephisto, gracias. Sin, gracias.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you
great.
very
Adios,
much.
chat. Wherever you're at, keep your slam fuerte. Buenas
everyone.
noches. Wherever you're at. Maybe buenos dias. No sé.
It's
Adios.
buenos dias for me.
Say bye,
Buenos
Fletcher.
noches.